quorum. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is April 22nd, 2024. It is 7:03 p.m. and this is the Select Board's meeting. Wes is joining us on Zoom. I'm pointing at the screen over there, so I'm just going to do a roll call vote. Wes?
Present.
Priya?
Sundaram, aye.
Dave?
McKenna present.
And Hilbert present. Okay, sounds good. All right, let's
Sorry,
get...
present.
I have my eye on you. All righty, let's go through the announcements. Boxborough's annual town meeting will begin night one on Monday, May 13th at 7 p.m. As discussed at last year's annual town meeting will run consecutive nights without skipping Wednesday. If town meeting requires more time than Monday night, it will continue to Tuesday, May 14th, Wednesday, May 15th, if needed, and Thursday, May 16th, if needed. Childcare of after-school children will be provided on night one of town meeting from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. This program is sponsored by the Acton-Boxborough Regional School District and the Acton-Boxborough Education Association. To RSVP, please email Betty Ann Vital, B-A Vital, so B-A-V-I-T-A-L-E, at hotmail.com, indicating the number of spots you need no later than Friday, May 10th. Now, if you didn't get that email, send the Select Board a quick note, and we will send you that email address. It is with great excitement that we invite everyone to join us this Thursday, April 25th, for the grand opening and ribbon cutting of Craft Food Hall in Boxborough. This exciting restaurant will bring a vibrant and energetic dining experience to the community. The restaurant is located at 500 Beaver Brook Road in the heart of the park at Beaver Brook. To all of us long-term residents, that would be the Cisco property. We hope to see you at 12:30 this Thursday as we cut the ribbon and welcome Craft Food Hall to our beautiful community. Join the Boxborough Recreation Commission family and friends for a night of fun at Fenway Park, Friday, May 31st at 7 p.m. Tickets are $45 each. Please visit boxboroughma.myrec.com. Click on programs and you'll find more information and how to sign up. The Historical Society would like to announce on Sunday, May 5th, the Sagamore Strong Bear Medicine of the Neshoba Praying Indians and local historian Dan Budillion, anybody know? Okay. Will present at the Boxborough Town Hall starting at 2 p.m. They will discuss the Neshoba people, their spirit, their journey of survival, the village, and the sacred landscape that is all around us. The Historical Society hopes to see you there. So that's Sunday, May 5th, here at 2 p.m. The Boxborough Police Department will be increasing traffic enforcement efforts in May and June as part of our new initiative, Operation Safe Streets. Officers will be specifically tasked with enforcing all traffic-related laws in targeted areas and neighborhoods around town. These enforcement actions will include, but aren't limited to, speeding, stop sign and red light violations, school bus stop sign violations, crosswalk violations, aggressive and distracted driving, driving under the influence, and safe bicycle operation. Special enforcement dates will include Memorial Day weekend, Acton-Boxborough prom weekend, Acton-Boxborough High School graduation weekend, the opening of Flora Field Summer Camp, and more. Special enforcement areas will include Blanchard Elementary School Zone, Liberty Field Park, Flora Field, Steel Farm, Stowe Road, Burrows Road, Hill Road, Beaverbrook Road, Swanson Road, Codman Hill Road, and more. If you're interested in submitting a request for targeted enforcement in your neighborhood, please contact Traffic Safety Supervisor Phil Gath, Sergeant Phil Gath, at pgath@boxborough-ma.gov with your request, or fill out the Speed Trailer Request form on the Police Department website. So I just have to say, it's on Hill Road right now. It was on Liberty Square yesterday, and what I really liked is that when you hit Hill Road at Leonard Road, it actually could see you, even though it was all the way at the top of the hill. So you'd see the flash, so you would immediately get notified while you were still in Littleton that you should slow down. So I thought that was pretty cool. If you are interested in submitting a request, I already said that. So yes, email Phil if you'd like to have it in your neighborhood. The Office of Land Use and Permitting is excited to announce the May 30th Boxborough MBTA Communities Legislation Info Session for the first of its 4-part summer forum series. Residents, businesses, and anyone interested can look forward to an informative night with ample time for question and answers. The event will be held on Thursday, May 30th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at Town Hall in the Grange Room, that's right here, and light snacks and refreshments will be provided. The Town of Boxborough invites feedback on our draft hazard mitigation plan. This plan was developed as a strategy for our town against existing and future natural hazard threats and the evolving challenges posed by climate change. Implementation of this plan will significantly enhance our resilience to hazards such as flooding, snowstorms, high winds, and extreme temperatures. Town officials and local stakeholders developed this plan with funding support from the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. So FEMA approval and town adoption of the Hazard Mitigation Plan update allows the town to pursue pre- and post-disaster hazard mitigation grant opportunities. That's like a tongue twister. To review and provide feedback on the plan, residents can visit the town planner's page on our website, visit the library, or contact the town planner by emailing awade, so Alec Wade, awade@boxborough-ma.gov. All right, that's everything. Does anybody else have any other announcements? No?
Well, I was at the UCC church last night for a 2040 movie that Marjorie Camp sponsored there.
Oh.
And as I was leaving, I was handed this fundraising concert with Fred Small that's going on Saturday, April 27th at 7 p.m. Tickets are $25 each, and the money is going to support the Indigenous Environmental Network and Friends of the Boxborough Library.
Oh.
So I thought I would mention that.
Yeah.
Fred Small, I don't know him, so I can't, but I think it's certainly a good cause, and it's not particularly expensive, so
Right.
I would just mention that as an announcement.
Very exciting. Anybody else? No, nothing? All right, I think the only other thing I want to announce is that we've got 2 young men who live in town who are going to become Eagle Scouts on Sunday, May 5th at 2:30 p.m. across the street at the UCC Church. The select board's been invited. Any of us who can attend, please respond to the RSVP. It is an open invitation to the town, and it's pretty amazing. Nicholas Chavez and Alexander Zhu have both achieved Eagle Scout status, and we're really, really excited for them. So, yeah, isn't that amazing? That's great. Yeah. All right, so actually, that means lots going on May 5th between the church and here, so get here early, get your parking space, because there'll be a lot going on. Alrighty, next, public input. Is there anyone? Now, John, I know you wanted to speak to Article 42.
So I want to speak to Article 42.
Sure.
I also did provide correspondence.
Yep.
Which I now understand does not go in the packet.
No, we don't put correspondence in the packet.
That was news to me, so I actually reuse paper, so, so that's the side that you should read. You might find the other side interesting, that's mine from when I ran for election last year. Okay, so that's what you want to read, okay?
Awesome.
And
I actually printed and already highlighted your major
Okay.
points, so I got mine.
I
I'm
have
good.
extra copies.
Thanks.
Amazingly enough, I can.
Thank you.
Cover the entire audience.
All right.
So Wes, I'm sorry, I can't.
I sent it to him. I sent
Now,
it to
Wes
him.
has a copy
I
of
think,
it.
yeah, I think that was sent out.
Let me go. So I will speak, let me do this the right way. I'm John Markowitz, 71 Patch Hill Road in Boxborough. I will speak to this later when it's brought up on the agenda, but what I wanted to do is just say that there's been a tremendous amount of work done by the building committee, and that's all fantastic, okay? There's been a lot of studies that have been done, okay? And at the last meeting of the building committee, Article 42, the price, the amount being asked for at town meeting was dropped from $500,000 to $250,000, okay? I still think that number can come down. I don't disagree that the work needs to be done. My issue is with the timing of when that work needs to be done, okay? I think the first thing we need to do is pick a site, okay? And at that meeting, the decision was made that we would look at 4 sites. And 2 of those sites have been studied extensively. The existing fire station and Stowe Road. The Stowe Road study was done in 2021. The existing site study was done in 2015. So there's been a tremendous number of studies done, okay? So those 2 sites really don't need any more work, okay? But if the other 2 sites, 700 Mass Ave and 1320 Mass Ave, so that's Lincoln Properties and the Lions Properties, reversed order. But if those are in fact potential sites, and the owners of those sites are willing to work with us, then there needs to be some evaluation done. I think it needs to be, though, at a very high level, okay? Similar to what was done for Stowe Road, okay? There was a Stowe Road study done in 2021. Much of the work that needs to be done, it cost $22,000 to do that study, okay? There were additional things that could be done, and all of those are itemized, okay? If a traffic study was needed, that's $9,000. There was the study of the soils, that's been done, okay? The wetlands, that's been done for that site. Each of those are itemized. If you add all those up for any general site, it comes to approximately $50,000. It's not the $250,000 that we're looking for. That comes later. So I think what we need to do is first pick a site, and then maybe at this town meeting, we can give people an idea of what it's going to cost. And then at the special town meeting, you acquire the property, whatever property that happens to be. And at that meeting, you ask for the bulk of what's in Article 42. I think that that is a more acceptable way for doing this than what we're doing now. That's just my own opinion. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there another hand up for public participation? Diana Lepari. Hi.
Hi, guys. Today is the first day of Passover, and while it's not a national holiday, it is nevertheless a very important holiday for many of our Boxborough citizens. The Select Board and other town boards and committees have a great deal of leeway when they schedule meetings, and I'd strongly urge this board to be more sensitive when scheduling its meetings, to take into account those holidays that are very important to its population, particularly scheduling a meeting in the evening on the very first night of Passover, when the holiday begins just before sunset, does not demonstrate that sensitivity. Please be more aware and attentive to the feelings of your constituents. Thank you.
Yes, we actually made that mistake in September, if I remember right, too, on one of the other Jewish high holidays. And I do apologize to all of our Jewish residents. I did not realize it was Passover, and we will definitely make sure the Jewish holidays are noted next year so that we don't do this again. So we apologize. So,
I think, just to add to that, I mean, Jewish holidays and other holidays that are going to be important for our town. I think, yes.
No, I'm just addressing
to-
Diana's
yes, I know.
concern. Yeah, no,
Just
we.
to make sure that,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we clarify, we don't,
Yeah, no, good point. No, we'll do a better job next year of noting all religious holidays. We could probably follow this. Well, no, I guess we can't. We'll figure it out. We will make sure we figure that out.
By the way, that was the
So
intent.
just to-
That was the intent of my comment. All the citizens of Boxborough.
Yes,
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 yeah.
yes, yes. Yeah. No, I do know that we accidentally met on one of the other high holidays, and I didn't
changed that
realize.
one.
Yeah, we were
We had
able to
one
get a hold of
scheduled,
that one.
We changed it because we were given, a heads up. This one, I should have paid closer attention to the calendar, and I'll do a better job in the future.
Yeah, we'll watch all religious holidays moving forward.
So
Nice thing is
just
you
for
can get them on
context,
Google
the
now.
DEIC did provide the select board with the spreadsheet of religious holidays that most religions observe and have the days off. And so I think the intention was initially to, once we moved to Google, to import all those days and to create our holiday calendar so that would be a lot easier to see.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's been done yet.
Yeah, we can definitely do that before we set next year's schedules. Absolutely. Is there any other public input, either here or online? Okay, so we are going to take things out of order. We are going to, assuming everyone's ready for it, have the Q3 finance team report, if that's all right. Is everybody here?
I see Naomi.
I see Naomi, yeah.
We should wait until Kelly joins.
Okay, all right, because we had offered to move that up on the agenda simply so staff could, oh, who's here? I thought I saw someone just pop in. Just so they could go enjoy the rest of their evenings. All right, well then we'll keep going. Approval of minutes from April 8th, 2024. Has everyone had a chance to read them?
Yeah,
Our resident editor?
I have a comment that wasn't in there. One of the things that we discussed, we were having that traffic discussion, and I had asked the chief at that time, okay, so who's going to look into, we talked a lot about putting these sort of signs up on the, you know, the radar signs that would say what your speed is and, you know, notify drivers if they were going too fast. And who's going to take that action to kind of, you know, investigate that? And he said he would, but I didn't see that reflected in the minutes. So I think that would be an important point to say the chief will look into that and report back, because otherwise I don't want it to slip into a
Right.
crack.
We can get that into the minutes, and I know that he's already taken that up. He's already done some investigation on finding how to get those radar speed signs.
Yeah, great, yeah.
We'll get it into
A
the
grant,
minutes.
hopefully, but okay, but we need to know how much they are and make plans for doing it. But that's the only thing that I saw
Sure.
was missing.
Would you like to be able to see that done before we vote it? I mean, I don't think it's a big deal to vote the minutes the next
Well,
time.
I think can make a motion to accept the minutes as amended,
Okay.
yeah, and then Michael can make sure that gets in there.
Sounds good. Yeah, usually Kelly's here typing, so it's like, as long as you're
Right.
comfortable, it'll get in. Okay.
I'll second that.
All righty, any further discussion about the minutes? All right, we'll do a roll call vote. All those in favor, we'll start with Wes.
Folks,
Priya?
Sundaram, aye.
Dave?
McCann and I.
And Hilberg, aye. All right, minutes are all set. I don't see Kelly quite yet. All right, let's just keep going. Select Board and Town Administrator reports and updates. We just started this in the item table. Rajan?
Yes, so I can get started just on some staffing updates. We actually had a few interviews. We had 2 interviews for the local transit operator position, and we intend to submit offer letters to both candidates for those.
Oh, great, good.
The goal with getting the transit route up is to at least have it ready by the week of town meeting. So working with Mart on getting that set up. It's good progress on being able to get at least hopefully those 2 positions filled, and then the goal is to at least go out for 1 full-time position and have 2 part-time positions. So we're close to getting the 2 part-time positions narrowed down, and then we're still looking at making a hire for the full-time position.
So just a question, I know I asked you last time, I'm just validating. So we won't have transportation available for town meeting. It'll be the week that, we're hoping to have it that week.
We're looking to get it started for the day of, so hopefully
Okay.
we can have the first route available by
Oh, nice.
the 13th. That's our anticipated start date.
Would we
May
be able to
13th.
get people home or just there?
I think we should be able, I mean, it depends on
We're
how
not
long
there yet.
town meeting goes. The
Right.
goal for the routes is from 7 to 7.
Okay.
So probably not.
So we wouldn't
home.
get people home.
Yeah.
All right. So anybody who does have transportation concerns, the Council on Aging does have a book of volunteer drivers. So if you want to go to town meeting, you don't feel like bothering a friend or neighbor, definitely give the Council on Aging a call. I don't think you have to be a senior to take advantage of the volunteer program,
I believe that's correct. I would say especially for town meeting.
especially for town meeting. Exactly. I'm happy to pick anybody up, but I have to be there early. If you don't mind being early, I'll pick you up. Although we'll probably be late because that's who I am. It's just a long story. Okay, Rajan, keep going.
And we did have a second interview for the finance director / town accountant position. And last week we did extend an offer letter to the candidate for the finance director position. They accepted, and currently in the process of negotiating a contract with that candidate for a start date this summer. So
That's exciting. Congratulations. Both of you guys, yeah.
And the deadline for fire chief applications is this Friday, so we should be anticipating applications for the fire chief at the beginning of next week.
Do we know if we have any yet, or? I know that they don't tell us always, the hiring.
We do have some, we don't
Consultant.
have any names yet because the consultants still have them.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so if you're interested, get your application in, or if you know someone. All right.
And we also, next thing is just for the insurance transition, all of the employee groups decided to go to Maya / Blue Cross Blue Shield. So we have been holding information sessions. Last week we held information sessions for the retirees, where Maya, as well as representatives from Blue Cross Blue Shield, came to town, had an information session. set it up to where if retirees wanted to change their health insurance plans, they could, as well as had someone here to look at it to see if their prescriptions and if their providers were covered under Blue Cross Blue Shield. So we had that information session last week, and then tomorrow we're doing an information session for our active employees, and Blue Cross Blue Shield and Maya are coming back to do the same thing with our active employees.
Well, they really have it down, don't they? The orientation and getting people comfortable with it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Rajan, were there a lot of changes for providers? Or like majority of the providers were also going to be accepted into the programs?
Yeah, they pretty much accept everybody because it's Medicare. So long as whoever their primary care provider accepts Medicare, they accept Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Okay. Well, way to go. You guys have had so much on your plate. And I know I'm not supposed to use the word guys anymore. You folks have had tons on your plate. I appreciate that you guys are keeping the town, I used it again, keeping the town running and doing all these extra things, because I know it's an inordinate amount of time, a lot of study on your part, and on behalf of the board, thank you, and on the town. So, very exciting. This is really exciting, though. All right, Mike, you got anything?
A couple of quick things. Today, Dennis Reap, our moderator, and I were over at LCA TV with Corey and Mark and Judy and their team, filming the town meeting preview. So, and I think later this evening you'll vote to release that. Kind of blindly.
I was going to say, do I get to see it?
You're gonna-
How do I
So
know?
this is gonna involve an act of trust and faith.
Active
that we
trust
did a good
and
job.
faith.
Dennis said I did a good job.
All right.
You
I
guys
told
did a
Dennis
good
he
job
did a good
last
job.
year. I remember, I saw that.
Kirby didn't say we did a good job, but he's critical. But anyways, so we did that.
Was it similar to last year?
Very similar to last year.
Oh, all right then. Good
I
practice.
started less.
Yeah.
Also, for annual town meeting, we have planned for an overflow room. In case we get an overcapacity crowd the first night, we're gonna have 450 chairs, at least set up in the gymnasium, which I think.
At Blanchard.
I think at Blanchard, which we believe will be more than enough seating, and there'll be standing room. Based on historical trends, Dennis and Becky, our town clerk, as well as our team, have looked at the historical trend. It was only 1 year that we were over the capacity for that gymnasium, and that was the year that the town went to the regional school system. That was a big turnout. Anyways, having said that, we have planned to use the library at Blanchard and set up extra seating there in case we need an overflow. And we've been working with LCA TV, Kirby specifically, to make sure that we're connected there. People will be able to listen and see what's going on in town meeting from the library room, and then to speak, they would just come to the adjoining gymnasium and come to a microphone and participate as usual. I don't think we're gonna need the overflow room, but just in case. And that's for night one when we anticipate the largest crowd. I will be shocked if we fill the gymnasium. I would be
so
pleasantly-
pleased
right,
if we
it'd be
fill the
nice.
gymnasium. Come vote.
Right.
Again, though, all the more reason to get there before 7 o'clock when town meeting starts. Maybe aim to get there at 6:30, 6:45 for parking and to get your seat. I love that you're doing it, the overflow in the library, because yes, to be able to walk down and participate, if you've got something to say at the microphone, I think is huge, to be in the room versus in a remote location. So please thank Dana Lab and whomever else at the school for helping us put this together.
Well, he and the custodial and maintenance staff there were very helpful.
Yeah.
And and it was also in communication with the superintendent. They were all very helpful. As you mentioned in your announcements, the school district, as well as the school teachers union, is setting up for a daycare. They had planned to do that in the cafeteria, but they were willing to move to the library so we could use the cafeteria. I don't think we're gonna need that much overflow, and I think the library is a much better place for us to have overflow, so we have adjoining rooms. So anyways.
Yeah, we'll be all good.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you to everybody who participated to figure all this out ahead of time, so we're not scrambling in real time.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
And then today's my
Awesome.
first day back from 4 days vacation. It was nice to get away. It's also nice to be back. Today was interesting, though. I had meetings all day long. Many people interested in what we're going to discuss later, which is Article 42. Residents saying that they would like to see the revision to the article reduced by another 200 and some $1,000. Others saying they want to see it increased by 250,000. So the full gamut. Interesting day.
Again, what I love about that is that we're having all these conversations. People feel comfortable enough to come in and express their opinion to you. How, you know, they want you to understand where they're coming from. They're gonna be here tonight, or some people will be here tonight. I'm thrilled at the level of discourse that we're having over this, so this is great. All good. Okay, for me, my only update is the building committee, and that would be Article 42, because that's what we focused on last week, so I'm just gonna keep moving.
Okay, all right. I would say from a Steel Farm standpoint, you'll notice that the roof has been completed.
I
and
did
they- and they
notice
moved
that,
out. So
yes. Looks good.
that's nice. I don't know if there's anything left to examine the work or
Any inspections?
pay the bill.
left?
I'm not sure, but it looks like it's
We have to pay
completed.
for it? Oh.
The Ice House RFP will go out, an updated version of that will go out on Wednesday. So hopefully we'll get some folks to take care of that. I did have I've changed my office hours to be the first and third week, 10 o'clock, 10 to 11 o'clock. This past week, I had a couple of residents, so, some of my regular residents. Anyway, one of the things we talked about was the importance of some sort of a communications. And I'm suggesting a PDF or something that will talk about where they can find stream stuff, where they can, websites, where anything, how they can sign up for the Boxborough Bee, how they can sign up for the Buzz, if I got that right, how they can, so I'm thinking of this now, but I'll talk to you and try to get Kelly to assist me to put something together that we could just put it. New residents, I just put it on the table in front of Karen. It's like, oh, take it away, and so they can, okay, so it's channel 39 on, it took me probably 34 years before I realized channel 39 had that. But anyway, so I'll be working on that, and then this week EDC also presented a check to Oscar's Burritos
That's so
as part of
exciting.
that committee. So. That was a nice event, so.
So, okay,
That's
so
it.
you are gonna work with the people that come to your office hours to kind of start building this list?
No, I that was part of that's what came out of the conversation, the importance of, because
Well-
I was asked by, actually Taryn Light was there, and she said, I filled out this survey in 2021, and I have no idea whatever happened to this information.
all right.
So that sort of sprung into this conversation about communication within the town, which has always been kind of rough. I mean, because of just the nature of the town. It's a rural town, and there's not a lot of neighborhood interaction. There's not a lot of places where people gather.
Right.
So so that's kind of what came out of that. So I'll just develop something. I can have Kelly help me to put something together. I can run it by the select board if you want, but it's just.
If it's just how to communicate, I don't know. If we
I'm not sure that it's
I
something.
think it's a Mike thing, Mike,
Yeah, it's
And
more of
Rajan,
an
yeah.
administrative thing, so.
No, I was just thinking if you workshop with the people that attend or encourage people to email Dave with, what kind of things do you want to learn how to use? Because that's a great way
That
to
would be fine.
brainstorm.
Oh, sure,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying how to do it, but what would
Yeah.
you like to have on a list?
Yeah,
like
what
that?
do you want to be able to find?
Right, right.
Because sometimes, people can't, I don't know where to find this form, or I don't know how, so.
Could we add something like that to Citizens Academy? Like a little piece of like how to navigate the website, how to find different things? Like I just learned because of the announcements that the RecCom has its own little separate web page that you go to sign up for programs. Like, I didn't know that, and I'm the chair of the select board. So it's like,
That's because that's brand new.
oh, okay, I feel better. Yeah, okay, I do feel better about that.
Almost like a resource page. That's what we
yeah.
need, right?
Yeah.
But
Like
if
a
it was part of
resources
Citizens
page,
Academy,
and then
too.
you have all the links
Yeah.
there.
Wes
No,
has
that's
his
great.
hand up.
What's up?
Wes has his hand up.
Oh, Wes. Wes, you gotta jump
So
in, 'cause
just
you
for-
know I won't see you.
Yeah, so just for context, the whole point of the communication survey was because historically Boxborough has not really had any email or other communications per se. And so the point of the survey was to understand how people consume information, and by and large, it is either through emails, newsletters, which also go through emails, and or Facebook. The difficult issue with the survey as well was that the majority of people that responded were the people that attend town meeting, the people that actually read the warrants, and along those lines. And so there's a slight bias towards the Facebook crowd, I guess would be the better way of putting it. But there was not a lot of newer media, which I would expect to see with some of the newer residents in town. And so for context, that was the purpose of the communication survey, was mostly just to gather how people consume information and to try and get or start a mailing list, which we then merged into one of the mailing lists when we updated our website and created that. So for your context, David.
All right, great, thanks.
Yeah,
thanks.
no, I learned a lot
appreciate
too.
that.
Thank you. Priya, do you have anything?
Yeah, we'll have our first Strengthening Police and Community Partnership Council next Tuesday. Speaking of which, Wes, will you be attending? Because both of us shouldn't be attending
Yeah.
together. We'll end up with a quorum, so,
That's fine, I can.
okay. Let me know, either way. So that's next Tuesday.
Exciting.
Our first meeting, exciting.
Awesome. Where do you meet? Is it Zoom or is it in person?
Zoom.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So more information
Yeah,
on that will be on the
this one's
website.
Zoom because it has the people that were part of the DOJ. I'll try to leave like a minute or two early from practice because I coach a first grade soccer team and they end at 7, so I'll try to leave a few minutes early.
Sounds good. Yes, I was at Graham's soccer game. I saw you coaching. Way to go. That's a lot of work. I did 36 seasons myself. It's a lot.
If you both ended up there, like accidentally, you wouldn't have hit a quorum until you hit 3, so you're okay.
Well, see,
because
what
you're
they
gonna be
decided to
there.
do was alternate, and I said, okay, which one of you is gonna go, so, because I'm
Got it.
planning to go. Unless you both want to be full-time, then I would respectfully back out.
No.
All right. So you're all, wow,
We'll
everybody's
figure
sharing
it
it.
out. Yeah.
Look at the
Yes.
cooperation.
Yeah,
yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Wes, do you have anything?
No.
Okay. How'd your team do on Sunday?
Which one?
The first graders.
Well,
We
I have
lost
first
abysmally.
and third and fourth grade team.
Fun. Okay. All right. Moving right along.
We have the finance team if you want to take down.
Sure. I'm actually thinking that the Sustainability Committee has been here since the beginning of the meeting too. I'm actually thinking let's take them because I think it'll be pretty quick because we've done most of the edits. This is just the final draft.
Could,
No? Okay, never mind.
Well, okay,
The chief editor. Yep.
if you do decide to take them first, could I at least introduce Carly, because she's here in the crowd with us?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. One of our new employees.
Yes, so Carly Mannion.
Hi, Carly.
Has been with us a couple of months, and since the finance team has given their quarterly report tonight, we just wanted to formally introduce her.
Do you want to pop up to the
board.
microphone and say hello? Sure you do. It'll be fun.
So Carly has experience. She was working in the Stoneham Assessor's Department as the assistant to the assessor. She also has experience as a bookkeeper, partner, consultant, assistant manager, and manager of various corporations, and she holds a bachelor's degree from UMass Boston. And it's been a pleasure working with her these last couple of months. She's a great addition to Town Hall and to the finance team.
Well, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. I think I just want to come and say hello.
Yeah. So how are you finding it so far?
Great. I love working here. I love the
Oh.
job. I love the people. It's been great.
I'm so happy to hear that. That's awesome. Well, if there's anything we as a board can do to help, go through Mike. Just kidding. No, you can call us. No, welcome to town. We're really glad you're here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Carly was here with her children when Coda was sworn in.
Oh.
And,
Oh, they got to meet Coda?
yeah, and her children made it into some of the highlight photos, and it was a great day for everybody. So I was so glad that she was able to bring her children.
So they think when mom goes to work, you play with puppies?
They asked if Coda's gonna be here tonight.
Oh. So they stayed home. They were like, all right, no dog,
go
no.
call Max.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, call Max. Well, welcome, Carly. All right, so you have some edits to the sustainability? Is that what we're?
Well, I probably, Kate probably went, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I'm good with I'm good with the policy, I'm good with the policy. It's the other thing that's, it's gonna start a whole other conversation. So
Okay.
it's not gonna be a quick one.
Oh, nothing is ever quick with this board. Okay, well then let's go to the Q3 finance team report. Since the entire team is here, we'd love to get you back to your families at a decent hour. So, okay. So who's gonna start? Kelly?
Hi, good evening. How are you?
We're good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I just wanted to also say that I've been to Massachusetts to work with Carly, and she is just an amazing addition to the town. She works and catches on very quickly, and she's going to be a great asset to the team.
Great to hear, thanks, Kel.
Yep. In my office, this last quarter was, getting everything, kind of getting things caught up, working on, I came and trained Carly, getting her up to speed. I've continued to train Naomi, getting her, more training on the treasurer side of her position. She is doing very well. It does take quite a bit of time to get the concept of all of it together as a whole. And she's moving along, doing very well in her training. So
Great.
Things are looking good. So I just have the two financial reports there for you. The expenditures,
Do you wanna put
we're
them up or no?
doing very
Kelly,
well.
would you like us to put them on the screen?
If you'd like to, yeah, you can.
Great. Una segundo.
It's about the 27th page.
Oh, there we are. I always go the wrong way too. Okay.
Okay.
Flip from page to page.
So instead of looking at individual line items for this time, I just kind of looked at departments as a whole to see how, how people were doing. And all of the departments are doing very well, and they've been very conservative on their use of the taxpayers' money this year. And we haven't had a need to go to the finance committee for any transfers at this point. So I think we're really, we're really in good shape with that. And then, let's see, you'll find on the page 11, 12, and 13 is the special articles that we still have outstanding. Those are items that we just need to continue to keep an eye on. Hopefully within, by the end of the year this year, can get through a lot of those and figure out what could be closed, especially since some of them are so old that we could get them closed and reassigned to updated projects for the fall town meeting. That's something that I would hope that something could, be moved along with that. And then on the page 19 and 20, you have the ARPA funds. All of the ARPA funds have to be not just committed by the town by, a vote of, the select board of what you're going to do with those funds, but by December of 2024, we have to, if we have not spent all of that money, we have to have physical contracts in hand. That yes, it's a committed amount, and we've got the contract to show you that we will be spending this money. We do have a significant amount, so we're really going to have to get serious over the next, few months here to get a solid plan in place to spend those funds and to get, to use those funds the way we need to use them, for the town's benefit. On page 22, you'll see the projects with the results of the borrowing. And, a lot of those are still just the equipment that's on order. We've had such a backlog of equipment, and it takes, that was one of the biggest surprises for me when I started working in a municipality, was to realize exactly how long it takes, when you see, a fire truck or you see a dump truck you know, the length of time that it takes to get that, and it's even delayed even longer now after COVID. So some of those do stay for a little while. And then for the revenue side, we're right at 76% as a whole. So we're in perfect shape. The collection on the taxes is also at a good place of 74% at the end of Q3.
Wow.
Our local receipts are though at 99%. So that's a good indication to me that, you know, in budgeting in years going forward, you can actually probably increase your local receipts to try to help with the budgeting, especially with the challenges for this coming year with the school.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Are we at the 3.75 for the meals tax? Because I was going to bring this up where if we have craft food halls coming in, we really haven't really historically had any, other than Oscars and Bravo, haven't really had any food, or Dunkin' Donuts too. I don't know if, I remember adding the food and meals tax, but I don't know if we brought it up to the full amount that we were able to.
That I don't know that answer.
You don't have
I
to have
do
this
know-
answer. This is more for like the
Yeah.
board and just a
Okay.
general question as well. So please don't,
Yeah.
I didn't bring this up before. Don't feel
Okay.
bad. It was just something I
Yeah.
was spitballing.
To answer that,
So
I
far,
do-
though, we have received 22.5 this year to this point.
Okay. Did you want to say anything about the meals tax?
Yeah, I do believe that we're already at the maximum amount of meals tax, but there is legislation in works right now to increase that by a little bit, and that would be something that we could also adopt as a local option in the future, you know, after this next legislative cycle.
Okay, thanks. All right.
Okay. And then I'm just extremely happy to report that the investment accounts they have rebounded wonderfully after COVID. They had tanked quite a bit, as we all know, on personal investments, but it seems that we've even, we're back on track where we were before COVID. So we're hoping that things will keep in an upswing to keep that on track for us. Kelly Sozik is actually on vacation and she's not here tonight. So if you can look there at the assessor's report, she's pretty much given you kind of her step-by-steps for January, February, and March of what happened. You can, instead of me kind of reading through it, you can read through that. And Kelly said that if you do have any questions or want to talk to her about anything, please feel free to email her and she will get back with you just as soon as she's back. She's been in the Caribbean on a cruise, so she
Good
has
for her.
enjoyed, I'm sure, this last week very much.
Good.
So that we have for the assessors, and
Yeah, Priya, I think had a
Then-
question. Do you?
Yes.
yes, go ahead.
Kelly, I have actually 3 questions. One is, are there
Okay.
any departments or any line item that is about the 75% mark as of right now? Do we have any concerns by the end of the year that they will be out?
The only, the only concerns that I have been told and that I'm aware of is I know, I think Mike Legal is going to be close, and I know that it looks like our IT might be, we might kind of be borderline of that one. Those are the only 2 that have jumped out to me. There isn't any of the other departments that have talked to me about, that they're running out of money or that they need to, get any additional funds from reserve fund transfers. Most of them have been able to move money between their accounts to cover what they would need, like a shortage in one line that they had extra money in another. But as of right now, no one has let me know that there's any, issues with their budget that they weren't going to make it to the end of the year.
Yeah, because I know last year we had quite a bit of transfers, right?
Kerfluffle.
Right.
So we
Yeah.
don't want to end up like that. And in terms of the ARPA funds, maybe
Yes.
more for Mike, do we know how much we have that we have not gotten contracts or?
Last time I reported to you, it was around $1 million. We have spent some of that on the fuel tanks, and we plan to spend some of it on the, also on the Guggins culvert. So we do have a plan to spend all the rest of it, and I am aware that we need to commit that by contract by the end of this fiscal year, and then we have 2 years after that to have it, those contracts fulfilled and spent.
Yeah, I don't want us to wait till, obviously, the end of the year. Hopefully,
Right.
we'll get that taken care of. And then, in terms of the local receipts, you said we are already at like 99%. How much more are you expecting, like, in terms of, I'm just trying to see, like, how much we'll get in free cash?
I would anticipate that we would get, the big motor vehicle excise went out. We have gotten quite a bit. I'm not right off the top of my head, don't know exactly how much is left. I would say at least another 200,000, just in the local receipts that we would receive from now till the end of the year.
No.
Okay.
It just occurred to me, I need to look for my excise bill. Do y'all pay your excise tax? Because I better go look for that. All right,
All right. Thank you.
thanks.
Yeah, and we do have, I did just take a look at the ARPA, we do have just a little over $1 million left. Yeah, so we, we'll have to, you need to be sure that we're, getting that figured out, Mike, especially the jobs that we need contracts for. We're going to need to get those solidified probably sooner than later. Okay.
Makes sense.
Just a side
Any other
note.
questions?
A side
Yes.
note, I just kind of want to say like how garbage I think the personal property tax is, especially for like cars, like the excise tax. Because if you actually think about it, right, you would think that it would go towards roads and repairs and stuff like that for like the use, but it doesn't. It just goes into the tax, like the town tax line. And I'm wondering if this is kind of a relic of Prop 250 and them just saying like, how else can we add to our bottom line revenue because we can't go above 2.5%. And so it's like, right, I'm paying $1,200 because I have to have a car because there's no public transportation for me to get into Boston, or get around town. And so it's kind of like I'm going to tax you because you live here. I'm going to tax you because you have a car because we don't provide public transport. And this isn't against anything here. It's just my philosophical thing of, if you're going to tax us, like have it be for a purpose. And it's not really, it just goes to the bottom line of the town spending. And so I really think that it should be going towards public infrastructure, road repair, and those types of things, but it doesn't. And I'm not trying to become a Republican, but like I'm very independent.
Come on over to the Republican side. It's great every year.
I'm an
Come on.
independent. I'm fine there, but I just want to call malarkey where I see it. Like,
Yeah, I'm just going to say I'm a registered Republican, but I'm a moderate Republican, as you probably have all figured out. So, yeah, come on to the center, Wes. I'll meet you there. It'll be great. All right, thank you. That's actually all very valid, and I appreciate that. Who's up
Okay.
on the rest
Naomi is next.
All right, Naomi.
Hi. So, we have collected about $7 million in real estate for third quarter, $200,000 in property, excise tax, about $400,000 excise tax that would do. I'm right now in the process of rebuilding the accrual system and Hopper's payroll right now, as well. Hopefully working with Vadar to possibly start building the tax title module that we have. Start
What's
implementing
Vadar?
some tax title
Sorry.
account.
Vadar's the accounting system. The
Okay.
question is, what's
System.
Vadar?
Oh, sorry.
Vadar's our software we use for
Okay.
accounting and for collections for the taxes.
Thank you.
Welcome. And commitment one excess tax were issued. So that's pretty much in a nutshell my office.
All right.
Yeah, I was very surprised when I started that you had the tax title module, but there was no, I went to look to see what kind of tax title properties you had, and there was nothing in the database. I was extremely surprised with that since you'd had it for a number of years, and none of the treasurers have taken the initiative to work on, getting it set up and getting it built. So that's one of the things that Naomi wants to focus on to help the town move forward to be able to utilize that you're already paying for. So that's kudos to her that she can, get working on that. One of the big things, though, is the accruals with the Harper's payroll that she's working on. And like I said, she's just doing great. There's just so many things to take care of and can't do them all at once. So
Naomi, what's an accrual set? I'm not an accountant, so I don't know.
In Hoppers, we have accruals set up there, but unfortunately, they were not set up correctly. So right now, I'm billing it from the bottom up again with Hoppers.
So accruals are like time, like
Time, like
vacation
sick time,
time,
vacation time, personal time.
retirement,
Not retirement.
not
mostly just-
retirement?
No, just sick, vacation, and personal time.
Okay.
So as employee work, they accrue time on a monthly basis. So when they
PTO.
set up, when they set up the Hoppers accrues, I don't know when they set it up, but it was not, the data that was given to Hoppers was incorrect. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I'm in the process of getting that fixed.
Thank you.
You're
Are you
welcome.
working with department heads on that?
I'm fixing times and after fixing the employees' times, I meet with the department heads and see if we agree on the time that the the employee should have.
Great,
So,
great. Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
All righty.
Any
I
other
have a
questions?
question,
Oh.
Naomi. I know this year there were a lot of citizens who were very confused about their taxes and like they didn't understand why it increased so much and all that. Like, how are we gonna like make sure that we get ahead of this moving forward so that we kind of give people a little bit more time so they can be more prepared? Is there anything that we can do to make sure that I know it seems simple, but like obviously there were people who were really shocked. Some
Yeah,
of
so-
them, right?
Nowadays, I guess we don't know what a tax is going to be until we do the tax recap. Which that's mostly the assessor's part on the tax rate and the assessments. So only going forward could do maybe have a nice do a session one night to explain how the tax amount was set and show a mathematical way of how you got to this amount that's due for your taxes. I think that'd be give them more education background on taxes and how we get to that total each quarter.
Also, another thing to consider is that, at least for the past few years, a lot of properties have been behind on their valuations. So
Yeah.
I know this year we had to this was the year we actually had to be, in alignment with what the state set for us for calendar year 24. So what I think a lot of people experienced last year was that they were finally in line with what their properties were worth versus some years they weren't correctly valued. So you probably were used to a little bit of the lower tax assessments versus now it's kind of like finally catching up with what their property is valued at.
I would say almost like, I mean, even if we have to do an education session, maybe record it and have it on the website, because not everybody will be able to attend it at the time that we're doing. At least they'll be able to like watch it whenever to
Yeah.
understand it better.
We had talked about that, and even possibly putting, an easy to understand crib sheet with the tax bills when they go out after the tax rate is set, so people can understand what happened and how to understand it. And the other piece, I like the idea that if we did record any kind of a citizen's explanation, it could be a QR code on that letter, so people could then watch a video. I mean, everyone knows how to use a QR code because that's how you read restaurant menus now. So maybe we could combine all that together and put it in with the tax bills. So, yeah, I agree. It's still confusing to a lot of people, so,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, well, that'll be fun, Naomi. You'll get to help build that. Woohoo.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
We don't have anything for you unless you have any additional questions for us.
Anybody have a question on the board, or does anyone from the public? Here's an opportunity. We've got the whole finance team here. Anyone from the public have anything to ask or share?
I think they're doing a good job.
Yeah, All right. No, we really appreciate it. Getting everybody, you guys are cleaning up some years of transition, so we appreciate all the effort. It's kind of like these guys hiring people. They're spending a lot of time catching us up and getting everything in order, and we really appreciate that. So, all is well. All is well. Okay.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Have a great rest of your night.
Night.
All righty. Let's do the Sustainability Committee policy revisions, then we'll do Article 42, and then we'll do the housekeeping stuff. Although, is Jeanette here for Memorial Day?
It's right there.
Oh,
Hello.
Jeanette, I'm sorry. And Jeanette, you want to know what? You've been here since 7 o'clock. Let's bump you to the front. Okay. Come on up and talk about Memorial Day. And don't hide. We're so happy to see you. But no, I did. I saw you come in like at 7.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm just here to, Jeanette Coleman, Chair of the Boxborough Public Celebrations and Ceremonies Committee. I'm just giving an update on the Boxborough Memorial Day Parade and Ceremony. So May 27th, Monday, we will have our parade as usual. 8:30, we're going to step off at Hill Road and Weatherby Lane. Here's the parade route is the usual, but it will begin at Weatherby Lane and Hill Road. Then we'll proceed Hill Road to North Cemetery. Then we'll turn left on Middle Road to Town Hall. And then from there, we will proceed across Route 111 onto Stowe Road. We have 3 ceremonies. So we have the first ceremony is at North Cemetery. The second one is at Town Hall, and the third one is at South Cemetery. I just want to tell everybody there's no parking at the North Cemetery, so please look for parking around Town Hall, the church, or on Burroughs Road east of the South Cemetery. We encourage people to come and march with us. Just march behind the parade, not on the side of the parade, so parade viewers can still have a good view of the parade as it's continuing down our streets. The PCCC is sending out invites for parade participants and ceremony speakers, so everybody, your board, please look for those emails. And we encourage any Boxborough organization who would like to march in the parade to contact the PCCC. We'd love to have you.
Awesome.
And we will be talking about the Memorial Day Parade at our next meeting, which is this Wednesday at 7 on Zoom.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. Any questions about the Memorial Day Parade while Jeanette is here?
I just have a question about your committee, because I know we talked about it before, and I tried to get you in here to talk about
sure.
it. Do you have enough support on your committee at this point?
So there are 3 active members, including me. We would love to have more to help, Boxborough, when we have our ceremonies and our parades. So if anybody is interested in joining the PCCC, we would love to have you. So.
You're the party planners, so who wouldn't want to join you?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we have 2 new things that we're trying to put on our docket. So
Well, tell us about it. Maybe that'll get people excited.
Well, so we are looking at helping with the menorah for
Great.
the
Yep.
town. So that's we're hoping to get that going for this year. And then we were just asked if we would help with the Steel Farm anniversary party. So
A Steel Farm anniversary party. How many
Wow.
years do we know?
30.
30.
yeah.
Okay.
So
All right. That
so
could
we
be
could
really
use
fun.
more members to help.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so if you're interested, reach out. There's a volunteer form online. You can reach out directly to Jeanette,
Yep.
any one of us. Come be a
Okay.
party planner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Janet. Thank you.
And thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming at 7. I think you were here. You were here before I was, for God's sake. Yeah. Anyway. I'm sure. Good night.
On your agenda, there's an action item for Memorial Day and Pfeiffer's Day Parade permits. There's really no action required. That's already been taken, those permits.
I thought we already did those. Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
So that's already in work. We just wanted, that should be more of an update to you.
Okay. All good. All right. Let's move right into Sustainability Committee policy revisions. You ready? Yeah. Walk us through. Yeah, because I was going through the red line, and I was going to accept everything, and then I thought, no, if I do that, I'll lose track. So here we go.
Kate Davies, co-chair of the Boxborough Sustainability Committee. Really, we had a very engaged discussion about some of the changes that the select board sent back to us to consider, and they were accepted ultimately by the committee. So the changes that Dave requested last time have gone through.
Yes, thank you.
We depend on him.
I know, I know I scared you when I said, this is gonna
Yeah,
take
she
a
was
while.
like, "Are you?"
But it
All right,
really-
now, that's it.
It really,
Dave, time out.
it relates to the
We are
charter.
moving.
So I would make a motion to accept that, but what I would ask you to do is just
There's
check
a
the
but.
footnotes, because there's a first footnote in there that went to like the existing document, and it's like, but I didn't see it in the text. So I think just check your footnotes, but with those changes, I would make a motion to accept that.
Second.
You're amazing. It did not occur to me. I read the footnotes, but it did not occur to me to click on them. So you are amazing. Thank you. And anyone else who did that too, you're all amazing. But, right. All right, so we have a motion on the floor and we have a second. Is there any further discussion about this? See, we could have taken this out of order.
Thank you,
No,
guys.
this is this
Lot
was
of
the
work.
easy one.
It's part two.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, all right. But, all right, any further discussion on the policy, sustainability policy?
No, I just want to thank them. They put a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
This is a ton of
They
work.
always do.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. All of us in favor, please say aye. We'll start with Wes.
Folks,
Priya?
Sundaram, aye.
Dave?
McCann and I.
And Hilberg, aye. All right. Get on your flak jacket.
Thank you. Should I stay up here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you might as well
Yeah.
stay there, Kate,
Yeah.
right?
Unless you're trying to get some steps in, up and down, yeah.
So, I was at an AgCom meeting the other day, and I was talking to Owen Neville, and Owen said, we were having a conversation about, numbers of people in a committee, and how you define a quorum. And I had this understanding that a quorum was based on the majority of the numbers of people you have in the committee, when in fact, it's the majority of the number of people of the committee number. So it's like, oh,
The amount that you're allowed to have, the maximum number you're allowed to have.
right. So what you have in here, and I know the same thing is in the Steel Farm Committee, and I mentioned this to Chris this afternoon after I had talked to Mike about this. It says a minimum of 5 and up to, well, actually, you got 11 members. I think, I don't think Steel Farm is that high. So with that 11, in theory, that means you have to have 6 people for a quorum. And so if you have 5, then you gotta call it a day, right? Or you can't make
no,
any
it's based on
decisions.
the minimum. So the language in here is appropriate. So it says a minimum of 5 and up to 11. So if they have 5 members, then the quorum is 3. If they have 7 members, so this provides them to have up to 11. So if they do actually have 11 members, then yes, they would need 6.
That's what I thought.
Mike is raising
That's
his
what I
eyebrow.
thought, but
I'm
but
watching
that's-
Mike's
That's
eyebrow.
not what I came
That's
to learn.
actually what I had previously thought as well, and when Dave raised the question, I said, I have to speak to council today anyways, let me ask the question. And council said, no, these sliding, committee sizes are problematic. If it's 5 to 11, your quorum is based on 11. Now, the council did say that it's less problematic when it's it would be a real problem if it was select board, planning board, like
FinCom.
yeah, someone that's making.
You're checking your bylaws?
Yeah, so what he said is it's less problematic when it's a select board appointed committee, because that's legally, that's considered an ad hoc committee. However, he said, if that committee is taking votes and then coming back, with information to the board should know that it's based on a valid vote. And so what he suggested is if you want a committee, if you want 11 people participating, you should have 5 or 7 voting members, and then the other ones over that as alternate or associate members. he said that's the cleanest, best way to do it legally, so you don't get into quorum and open meeting violation issues. That's, at least that's the legal advice I got today.
Appointed boards,
Correct, for appointed boards.
so FinCom is appointed.
Yeah.
Not elected.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
FinCom is appointed.
But it would still apply to, then you would need, okay, so you've probably answered this before, but I'll ask it again. I can see in all of the edits, you were at 8, 7, then 11. What was the rationale of bumping it up to 11 people? Because that's a lot of people to have on a board.
So the rationale was that we have several alternates who have been participating actively and coming and showing up. And our committee is a very engaged committee, so most people show up most of the time. And our sense was that if we were going to add a youth member, that we should also, who we were going to ideally give a vote to, we also wanted to give a vote to our alternates. We just didn't feel like it was fair to tell the alternates that they didn't have a vote, but a youth member did. So we just decided to make everybody voting members. So this basically accounted for everyone who participates in the committee, and gave us the maximum number of votes possible to give everybody the same amount of share of vote. But we did have a lot of discussion about it, and we were not really clear on why it was that we would need alternates. So I think Mike has maybe just clarified why alternates exist.
Yeah, and so speaking with council today, he did say, if you had 11 members or 9 members all voting, that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's what your quorum would be based on, is that top number. So you just want to make sure that whatever you set as a top number, that you're going to at least always be able to get that quorum, or half plus one.
Yeah, so we did talk about that. I guess the question for me is, if our top number is 11, which means we have to have 6 people showing up in order to have quorum, and I don't think we're concerned about that at this time. But at some point, if somebody wants to retire, they don't want to renew their term or whatever, do we need to come? The idea was that we didn't want to have to keep coming back and changing the charter every time.
You do.
Well, that's really why we were trying to give it the sliding range.
In the future, like if you just bullet it where you just say we need to drop the lower number, I don't think it'll be such a thing, but there were just so many changes taking place simultaneously here at this time, which is why I think it may have been more democratic than you had initially hoped for.
I mean, I personally...
And by democratic, I mean painful.
All right, that's enough. Painful. I'm inclined to say if you're comfortable with 11, let's try it. If you can't get it, if getting a quorum becomes an issue, then you come back and adjust it down. But at this point, if you've had lengthy discussions and your point is inclusivity, I'm certainly not going to ask you to change that right now.
So then we just go with 11 for now, and if we need
Yeah.
to change it to roll it down, that's fine. We'll
That
do
was
it.
council's
Yeah.
advice. Don't have a sliding number, just have a fixed number.
All right.
I think, Francie's on, and maybe she will comment on it. I don't think that will be a concern for the membership. We were really just trying to give ourselves the scope to make it easy to change if we needed to.
Francie, what do you think, since you're on too?
Excuse me. Actually, I was well aware why we had alternates, but as Kate said, the 2 that we have come every meeting. So we actually are at 9 members without a student. If we add a student, we're at 10. So I don't know. Maybe we should. I am concerned about having to have 6 people come every time. Some people are off on business trips. They're sick. For a while, we had trouble getting 4 people as a quorum. So maybe we should, if we amended this to 10 members, how many people?
Then you still have to have 6 at 10 members.
You want to go with an odd number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just do 9 and then, because you guys don't have a student member yet?
Even with 9, you'll have to have 5.
Well,
Yeah.
we know that Sarabi Sinha would like to become a member, a student member.
Then we can just leave it.
So one of these
it's up to you
members, I think one of the members, it says, is a non-voting representative of the town's municipal light plant. So
Well,
I don't
that-
know whether that counts in the.
No, it doesn't.
In the 10 or the 11.
Yeah, we don't count the LELD representative.
Are you comfortable
Let's leave it
changing it
11.
now?
I'm
Do you want to
sorry?
take it back and?
Do you want to take it back to your committee, or are you
Correspond with
comfortable
the team?
changing it? What would you like to do?
I-
Or leave it at 11? I
Leave
really,
it 11, we'll come back if we have a problem.
Yeah, I think we can leave it at 11 and
Okay.
come back.
that, I'm fine
As
with
needed.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
And like Wes said, it'll be quick if you just.
Yeah,
come in
and
with
it's
that.
very helpful to have that background information, so thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Okay, all right, so that was, that was a major one, that's why I said it's not gonna be quick, Kate. I see that under your mission and charge, you copied the same information from the policy over into that. And I would suggest that the last bit of that sentence really doesn't fit for the committee, but it does for the policy. And it says, if I can read this, and to prepare for and mitigate the effects of the climate. So I don't really think that your committee prepares for and mitigates the effects of climate change. I think you're making recommendations. I don't think you really have that action. I
That
think the
you're actually
policy is,
mitigating.
the policy is intended to do that, and I agree with that in the policy, but when you're defining it in the committee, I think it's really up to the departments to, in the town hall to sort of,
So if
prepare
you,
it.
if you
So
look at the
just to-
start of that sentence, though, the start of the sentence is, the purpose of the committee is to support coordinated, ambitious, blah, 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 blah. So our whole purpose is to support those actions, not to take them ourselves. That's
But doesn't
the,
that say, comma, and to prepare and mitigate?
it does,
So
but
that would-
all of that is following this initial setup of the purpose of the committee is to support those kinds of actions.
Yeah, so I'm under the
Yeah, you're
mission
right
in
here.
charge,
Yeah,
right, so
right
it's
there.
Just a point of order real quick.
Sure.
I don't think our agenda is posted properly because we're taking two votes, one on the policy and one on the charter. The agenda doesn't have the charter, and so I don't know if the last
Oh, man.
motion was valid.
Well, yeah, because we
No.
voted on the
No,
policy.
last
That's
one-
actually
motion
what
was
we
about the
voted on,
policy.
was the policy.
Well, did we vote the policy? Okay, so
Yeah,
then
that's what we voted on. Yep. So now we're
how
looking
can
at
we
the charter.
continue to have discussion? We can't really have discussion on this since it's not on the agenda.
Okay, what, well, that was a mistake.
Where
Oops.
is it?
What's
Where
that?
is it?
Someone spoke.
Francie, did you
So
say
the
something?
agenda says action, sustainability committee policy revision.
Yep.
There's no other thing about the,
We didn't write policy
The
and
charter.
charter. Okay. Nope, you're right, Wes. Thank you for keeping us out of hot water. All right. I guess we can't discuss it anymore.
Further discussion in a future time. I will be.
Isn't it fun to come here?
I
now?
will
Come on.
welcome feedback over email if anybody wants to send me feedback.
You know, I actually think a discussion with Dave would be great. Well, no.
I would be
because-
happy to do that,
you know,
unless
he has
Kate doesn't want to
office
talk to me
hours.
anymore.
He has office hours, so you can come in and.
Well, she
But
works
she
for
has
a
a
living,
job.
though.
Oh, but she has a job. Okay, all right. Well, and I apologize. You know what? When we were putting this together, we didn't separate it. So, okay. All righty. Okay. Well, we got some of it done anyway.
Thank you, Kate.
Why don't we go ahead and just trying to think. All right. Why don't we approve the annual town meeting preview media release? You want to do that, Mike? Do you want to just talk us through that really quickly? And we'll just take Article 42 last.
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, Dennis and I went over to Littleton with Kirby, Mark, Judy, and their team. We filmed the preview for annual town meeting. We briefly discussed the outline, what the consent agendas were, and without going into detail, I gave the titles of many of the different articles, and then gave the outline of the schedule and time and location and basic information like that. So that'll be released out on cable access television by Kirby and his team, and so this would be just a vote to release that.
All right. Any further discussion or questions for Mike? Seeing none, I move to authorize the media release of the 2024 annual town meeting preview conducted by BXB-TV. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing no hands, roll call vote. Wes?
Folks, aye.
Priya?
Sundaram, aye.
Dave?
McCann and I.
And Hilberg, aye. All righty, post that puppy. We're good. All right, I can't wait to see it. All excited. Channel 39, everybody.
Yeah, very.
Well.
On Comcast.
That's right.
On Comcast.
No, it's on Verizon, Channel 39.
Oh, shoot.
I don't know what Comcast is.
Kirby, what's Xfinity?
9, it's Channel 9.
All right, so channel 9 on Comcast / Xfinity, 39 on Fios. All righty. Okay, let's do Article 42 and then we'll post the warrant. How's that? Does that make sense? Does it matter?
You
No.
want to do Article 42?
Yeah,
now?
let's get going. Yeah, well, there's a lot of people here that want to speak to that.
Okay.
All right, let me set the stage a little bit. I do believe that nobody disagrees that we need a new fire station. And what we're all doing is working together to figure out how to get there. And there has been a ton of discussion, which has been amazing. A lot of input, and as a matter of fact, the Boxborough Building Committee opened up discussion again last week about sites and their vote, just because we did receive a ton of public input from both concerned citizens, staff, officials, everybody. So took that seriously, had a really good working meeting, and that's why we're here now with the revision to Article 42, and that's based on the Building Committee's discussion that night. Now, since then, we've had some emails. We've had a couple of letters. John Markowitz sent one in, and he presented what was in that. Mark Barbadero also sent an email, and they were very similar in their concerns. And Mark, do you want to have a chance to talk about your letter before I go any further? Yeah, I saw him there. Yeah. We unmuted you if you want. You can also wait and talk in a few minutes too.
What do you want me to do, Kristen?
Well, no, I didn't know. John used public input as an opportunity to just kind of walk the board through the letter he sent. I wanted to give you the same opportunity just because I just brought it up that we received letters from, our emails from concerned citizens.
Well, I don't have it before me, and I don't have it on this computer that I'm using, so I can't pull it up, but you could pull it up if you want to. I emailed it to you. You could put it right on the screen. But if you'd like to hear a brief summary, the issue
Yeah,
is...
just give us a summary.
Okay, the brief summary is that when the original article was proposed, it was for $500,000, and I was concerned about the fact that I didn't see any foundation for the amount of money that was being proposed. The article was substantial, the proposed article was substantially revised at the building committee meeting, and a substantial reduction was proposed, but also a substantial reduction in services and an expansion of certain elements of the initial article. With more specificity, it was going to be determined that they would evaluate sites, and the expression evaluate sites began to include creating renderings and site plans for various sites, and then a cost comparison for the various sites. And pardon me if I'm mistaken, I talked to Les this weekend about it, and that was kind of my key takeaway from our discussion.
Okay.
So I thought about how much it would probably cost, given the fact that the 4 sites in question have had a great deal of evaluation already done to it. All of them have been mapped. All of them have topographicals. All of them have had soil evaluations. All of them have been flagged for wetlands in the past 10 years. Most of them have been flagged for wetlands in the past 2 years. Mm-hmm. The town itself has paid for extensive evaluations of Stowe Road. They have paid for extensive conceptual plans on the existing fire station site. So my thinking was, how much is it going to cost to put a site plan together, put a rendering together, and get a cost estimate for each one? And my thinking was probably not more than $25,000 per site. So I was assuming that since that would probably be enough to help the building committee render an opinion, a definitive opinion for fall town meeting on where to put the site, and how big the building should be based on cost. That the number should be substantially lower than the number that is even being, the draft proposal that was brought forth by the select board for this meeting. There's other considerations too. There's DCAM requirements and so forth too. You basically a $250,000 article for one contractor to come in and draw plans for is probably going to exceed bidding requirements. That would probably slow things down significantly and maybe not leave the company, which by the way could be a new company, not Context, enough time to prepare anything before a town meeting. So I think a more sensible approach might be that knowing that you guys have $50,000 in your coffers already that you could spend towards this, that you ask the town administrator to create a scope of work working with Context, and then ask Context how much it would cost to actually create these documents. And from there, you'd have a more definitive number to bring to town meeting, and it would be more easily passed at town meeting. Because if you just show up with a dartboard, people are going to start asking questions. So that was the whole thing in a nutshell.
No, that, and I have it here, I highlighted, and you hit everything I highlighted, so perfect. And that kind of are you all done for now? We're good? I don't want to cut you off. Okay, so that was.
Done.
He says all done.
Okay, thanks. So the other reason to bring it before the board again is everything that, John presented at the beginning and Mark just talked about actually shows me that we need more detail about the purpose of the article and the use of the funds, because they're not wrong. The piece that they're talking about is 25 to 40, 50,000, whatever it is, but somewhere between the estimates using all the information we already have. They're not wrong about that, but the article is actually intended for more than that so that we can keep the project moving. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to be able to speak to that. Hold on one second. I think we have to build a level of trust with everybody that's involved with this, and we did, Mike and I met with Sean and Jason today, and we've got some ideas about that. And what really has to happen is the select board, hopefully by the end of this meeting, has a number that makes sense to put into the warrant article, and that we have a system or plan that's going to satisfy everybody. So that's the intent, is that we're going to reopen Article 42. We're going to look at all of this, take what, I suggest we bring forward exactly what the building committee crafted, because they spent a couple of hours doing that in real time and worked really well together, so we have something to work from. But then taking in all of the different input that we have and making sure that we address all of it is really why we're here tonight. FinCom is meeting tomorrow night, so it'd be really nice if they could vote whatever we decide this evening. So that sets the stage of what we're trying to accomplish this evening. So, so I think I'd like to turn it over to, I know Sean is on there, and also Mike, because I think what we have to back it up to is more detail about the purpose of the article and the use of the funds, at which point we might need to change the language a little bit, because the language, maybe what we need to be really doing is explaining what professional design services means. That it's not just, because the summary focuses on conceptual designs of the sites.
Right.
But what are professional design services?
A point of order.
Sure.
And this is like a genuine question. Are we actually able to open up the warrant again after it's gone to print, or are we now working on the motion?
We're writing
at
an
town meeting?
amendment.
Because,
We actually checked with town council. You can speak to that.
okay.
So this would be to see if the board agrees to change the language from what is printed in the warrant for a floor amendment at town meeting, but so that we go into it, if there's going to be an amendment, with some agreement beforehand.
So, you know what, again, for all my literal friends out there, what I meant is open up discussion so that we could have the amendment written to present at town meeting if we can all agree on what that might be.
Well, so don't
we're
we
not
just,
opening the warrant,
at
we're
town
opening
meeting,
discussion.
at town meeting, don't we just vote on motions? And so it would really be up to the moderator. So if we can get the moderator to agree to this modified motion, we don't necessarily need to make an amendment, if that makes sense. And
We
maybe I'm
actually
off
did ask
base.
town council about this. We'll
Yeah.
let Mike
Okay.
answer.
So Wes, you're correct. So we don't have to change what's in the warrant, but we are changing it, or considering
Substantially.
changing it significantly And I have spoken with the town moderator and town council, both today, to make sure that the scope of what may be discussed or may be changed is within what we can do on town meeting floor. And town council was in agreement that it is, you know, it's a reduction in the amount of funds being requested to be appropriated, as well as a reduction of the amount of services within the professional services, but not stepping outside of the scope of design and construction of a fire station. After that, I had a discussion over in Littleton today with Dennis, and he was also in agreement that if there is an amendment made, that would fall within the scope. So at least on that level, all parties are in agreement that it's within the scope to do that.
That's totally fine. I just wanted to make sure we're procedurally fine.
Nope,
Yes.
no, thank you. But yeah, we were ahead of that. John, you got your hand up. Oh, you got to do the mic, sorry. Where it's just you and Maria, if you want to sit near her and just hold the mic, then you won't have to keep getting
That's
up.
fine, I need the exercise.
Okay, get your steps in.
So, John Markowitz, 71 Patch Hill Road, Boxborough, Mass. So I'm just trying to understand what this discussion was. Are you saying that what's in the warrant is the original article, and that's what's going to be published?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so now what you're discussing is what changes you would make at town meeting on the floor,
The
right?
amendment on the floor.
So
What
the-
would the
so-
amendment be?
So, in terms of, FinCom's got a meeting tomorrow night, they've got to determine, I guess, the amount is not going to change, because that's in the warrant.
No, we can bring it down.
You can bring it down tonight,
Yep.
okay? Okay, so that's the important part, but, so the question, so what we're really debating right now is, what's the amount going to be? Okay, I mean,
The building committee suggested $250,000.
okay. All right, and you've got some other opinions, okay? And I just want you to know that some of us worked over the weekend to get to where we were, so it wasn't just something that we threw in the air, okay?
Oh, no, I can tell a lot of research went into it. The letters were really good. Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, they were
Just
definitely.
a point also, while we are making this amendment, anybody at town meeting can make other amendments so long as it's not deemed excessive. And if there's something cutting it in half, if people are looking to make a amendment to make it even less than that or more than that, I feel like that would be somewhat reasonable. And I don't think that the moderator would object, but I am not the moderator, so I cannot say that definitively.
Based on our conversations with Dennis, no, he wouldn't object. Essentially, there was just such a flood of public comment that it was, and even the building committee started to second guess some of it. So that is why we reworked it, because it made a lot more sense to us. I mean, our goal is to break ground in the spring of 2025. So if it pushes a little bit, it pushes a little bit, but that is the goal we're working towards. So we're really trying to get it right so that we can have a really good discussion on town meeting floor and be able to explain to the public. And I said it to the building committee, if our own committee doesn't really understand what the article is and what we're doing, then there's something wrong, and we have to address it. And rather than pull it and have to wait, we figured let's address it now so that we can all move forward. So that's how we got here. Okay. Mark, sorry, gotta watch the screen too.
Are you waiting on me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Not waiting on you, being patient.
No, I didn't understand because I didn't hear you call my name. So I just wanted to be clear that we're discussing a floor amendment that you guys would create in advance of town meeting to give to the moderator in advance so that there would be less chaos at town meeting when you propose the amendment.
Bingo.
And
And also
we-
to have it in writing so that we could provide, so people have a chance to absorb it a little bit. If we can provide it in writing, are we allowed to provide it in writing? Okay.
Which is great. The fact that you have literally up until town meeting to propose this amendment is part of what I was trying to recommend, which is you can get the town administrator to work with context, to create a scope of work and come up with an actual estimated cost for the amendment. And you can have all of that ready. And when you do that, you build credibility. So if you actually have Michael Johns go and talk to context and say, how much will it cost to create 4 site plans, 4 renderings, and 4 estimated costs of construction for buildings of the size and scope that the building committee had requested, then when you're on the floor of town meeting making this amendment, you have something to point to other than a dartboard. So that's why I'm proposing, I would recommend you hold off voting tonight and let Michael Johns come back with an actual estimate. And I see Wes laughing, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make a joke, dude. I was being serious. So
No,
anyway,
I just thought it was funny where you were very calm and you said, you have something better to point to than a dartboard. And I would agree with that point.
All right. I want to turn it over to Mike, because I think what we have to explain, and perhaps there'll be even more warrant language, is exactly what the article is supposed to achieve in terms of professional design services, and why we believe that we need the larger number at this time, a larger number, whatever that might be, than just the site study. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike and Sean. Mike and Sean work together on this. And it's a lot.
It is. Could I let Sean go first if he's got anything, and otherwise I'll jump in?
So
No, I think this is.
let's start with what the article is supposed to, is to achieve, Sean, if that's okay. Which is more than just site study. Like what is?
Correct.
Yeah.
The simplest way to put it is this committee has made the furthest it's ever gotten in probably over 10 years to get to this point. And the biggest point is to make sure we don't stall any longer. We know we need a building. We know the price keeps going up. And it's just to make sure that we keep moving forward and not just keep kicking it down the road. It's the simplest way to put it.
So what else will the professional design services be doing? I know in the summary, we said that the first thing they'll be doing is conceptual designs of various sites and more, if any, present. So after the conceptual design of the sites, what would funds be used beyond that? Because I think that's what's happening.
Be used to, once those were done and everything was presented, now you can, I bet assume at that point, then we can really pick the site and truly move forward with a plan and a direction and where to put it.
And to have the funds available to hire the appropriate consultants and, okay,
Yeah, correct. To have the funds already sitting there and available, then we don't have to keep going back after town meeting, after town meeting, after town meeting, just to keep re-asking for funds that are already allocated.
And I think what Sean said is important, is there is some momentum building to getting a new necessary, safe fire station built. And what I think would be a travesty is if we get to a point where we, pick a number, 50,000, 100,000, and then we go as far as we can, and then we've got to wait till the next town meeting to appropriate more money to keep the design and construction moving forward. And I think that you mentioned trust. I think there has to be a trust built, and I think we have to earn that. And one way to do that is for the building committee that's going to be tracking the design and construction of this building, is if we can present any invoices and change orders that are coming in to the building committee before those bills are paid, and something like, anything over a set, dollar figure, pick a figure. And so, if the number's 250,000, that doesn't mean we're signing a contract, on July 1st for 250,000. That means we have money available to continue progress of this project, through next annual town meeting. And that would be the goal. I would hate for it to be, honestly, I think it should have been at 500,000. I've said that from the beginning. And I think we should have had the larger scope of work. But seeing the resistance that was put up to that, we've scaled back the scope of work and cut the funding in half to at least get us to fall town meeting. I think a larger amount is would be better to keep motion going. But I think that significant work can be done with $250,000, and that would be paid out by the building committee that is overseeing this project as invoices come in, and contracts would be presented to them. The other thing to mention about the $250,000 that was discussed last week, I was not able to be there, I was away, but that would be all from free cash. That's what the proposal is.
If the finance committee agrees. The rationale is that if it comes from free cash, whatever isn't expended can go back to the general fund pretty easily. We close it out and money goes back. So that was the reason to not do raise and appropriate. And of course, that's ultimately the FinCom's decision on how they do that. All right,
So can I say something at this point?
give me 1 second.
Sure.
When I met with Mike and the guys, Jason and Sean earlier, I wrote a little bubble around it. The goal of the article is to, pros and cons of each of the sites, to help the town choose a site, present designs to the town, and have allocated funds to be able to go out and immediately start to hire the appropriate people to move forward with everything, rather than having to appropriate it again and do these incremental steps. And part of it is to give the contractors some level of confidence that we are going to move forward. Picture that you're gonna renovate your kitchen, and you tell the kitchen guy, I've got $5,000, so I want you to come and do my whole design, and I might have $30,000 to buy the cabinets, and then I might have 15 later for the countertops. So I know that's dumbing it down big time.
I would say you have a tiny kitchen.
Okay, well, true, yeah, but I live with a builder, so my prices aren't your prices. Anyway, so I'm breaking it down to make it silly a little bit, but that was the idea of having that bigger nut to be able to do these incremental. We're trying to avoid a winter town meeting. And I know, John, you brought up early acquisition. Well, hold on a minute. Yeah, get to this. Yeah, go to the mic. Don't hold on. You can go to the mic. You talked about acquisition of the site. Chances are we're not going to be asking anyone to buy a site or do anything until we approve a fire station, because it's the chicken and the egg situation. So we've got to be able to have everything in all of our ducks in a row, including the price to build, so that we can come back and justify the purchase of the land to do that.
Okay, but we're having a special town meeting, right?
Yep.
Because we have to have the special town meeting to acquire, let's assume it's Stowe Road.
No,
okay?
we won't acquire it in the fall. We'll go into some kind of a contract, but we won't actually pay for anything until we actually have an approved fire station.
Wait a minute. Don't you need to acquire the land that you're gonna build the fire station on?
We haven't gotten all the way there yet, but I believe the plan is to do it all at once, that when we know what it is we need, how much it's gonna cost, and where we think it's gonna go, we have one package to bring to town. So we're not doing it in piecemeal. And then we can bond it all together and not bond it in
So
piecemeal.
we're gonna know what it's gonna cost at this town meeting?
No, in the fall. That's what the
So-
fall will do.
Okay, so that's the issue that I think a lot of citizens have, is you're asking us to allocate whether it, $250,000 to continue studying, okay, something that we don't ultimately know what the total cost of that building will be. And I think that's the issue that the community is concerned about. It's like, let us know how much this whole thing's gonna cost. And maybe the question that we should be asking, instead of, well, it's gonna cost $40 million, which is the number that I've heard, okay? And maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong. But I think what we want, maybe what we should be doing is asking some of these consultants, the architects, what can we get for a certain amount of money that might be reasonable, that the town might consider that we would be willing to afford? Okay, because if you look at the existing plans that have been done, okay, because there's so much work that's been done. There's floor plans that are done, okay? There's schematics of buildings that are done, okay? The thing that is not done is giving me a picture of what this building looks like and what it's gonna cost.
That's the fall.
And
That'll
that's
happen
the
in fall.
fall.
That's
But
the
that's
fall.
what the citizens want now. I asked that question at the building committee meeting, and I was told that at our town meeting, we would have a number.
We will have a very, very loose, conceptual, high, the context was even concerned about even throwing that out. Again, I don't know that we can do that yet.
So that's why I'm saying, I thought we were going to have a special town meeting, and at that special town meeting, we would go forward with what's being proposed in Article 42, okay? Because otherwise, you're gonna continue, I don't understand how you can actually do this study without understanding what the site is, okay? Because this is the kind of study that you're looking for under Article 42 should be done for the building we're gonna build. And we don't know what that building is.
Agreed, and that's what the professional design services are
But
for.
no,
We're trying to
that's way beyond.
escalate.
That's way beyond. We should be able to get answers to these questions for this town meeting.
So just for context, when we did advocate to the voters for a fall town meeting, we did say that majority of it would not, by and large, it would not be financial. And so I do have an issue if we are planning to bring a large financial item to a fall town meeting, which has a lower turnout in votership than the annual town meeting.
So my concern is, you talked earlier about continuing the momentum, okay? If we bring something, if something is brought to town meeting that is not articulated, okay, that doesn't give us a price, that doesn't give the town a price, okay, and you can't articulate why you're spending this money, okay, and it fails, we've then lost a whole year until we can go back. And what I'm concerned about is losing the momentum. I'm concerned about two things: losing the momentum and how much money we're spending for something that I've listened to different boards, and people still cannot articulate at this late date what that money is going to be used for. And that's a concern.
Les, I'd like to jump to you, only because you've got the longest institutional knowledge on the building committee, and you might be able to shed some light on this.
Oh, okay. I'm happy to try to do that. So,
Thanks, Les.
at the last building committee meeting last week, we actually voted to bring forward for consideration 4 sites. One is actually the current location of the fire and police station, which is the first place HKT tried to develop a concept for a combined public safety building to fit it all on the site. That did not go anywhere for a variety of reasons. We can get into that later. But that is one of the sites that the building committee recommended that we continue to evaluate. The other one, and by the way, we control that land. We own that land. It's town land. The other one is the Stowe Road site. That also land that town controls. 2 other sites were added in for consideration. One is 700 Mass Avenue site that's owned by the Lions folks. And they have presented the building committee several conceptual for that. And we agreed to continue evaluating that. And the 4th site is to go back and look at the Lincoln Properties site that was initially considered some years ago for a potential location.
So let me just
Well,
jump in really quickly, because we don't have control, we don't have a financial interest in 700 Mass Ave and 1320 Mass Ave. We will need to go to those landowners and see if they're even interested in speaking with us.
Well, there are lots of issues. We don't know whether Lincoln is interested in talking to us. That's something that we're going to ask Mike to do, or maybe you already have.
Yep.
And we need to do some new due diligence. Now, we've been advised by our context architect consultants that you really can't go beyond conceptual designs, which are just concepts, until you actually nail down a specific site. So I believe what I heard at the last meeting, building committee meeting, is that we want to whittle down these 4 potential sites into one site that we'll settle on, and then bring forward detailed conceptual design fit to that site, and get into enough detail to bring to a fall town meeting a probable cost estimate. That would be the basis of doing any additional work. And right now, we haven't settled on one definitive site.
Right, so all of that is what has been brought up. I think the question is, why are we asking for $250,000 to $500,000? What I'm hearing is people don't disagree about all of that. There's not that. But what's happening is some people are saying, hey, let's reduce the amount of that article to just enough money for site studies and then allocate more in the fall. Other people are saying, no, we need the bigger nut. We need $250,000 to $500,000 so that we can continue the work. And that's the real question, is why do we need $250,000 to $500,000? And that's what's not being articulated well. And that's what I'm trying to get down to.
One of the issues is we put 4 sites into play. So that work has to be done on evaluating all of those for conceptual fit, in addition to all these other issues that have to be run to ground. So even conceptual studies cost money.
So there is some level of site analysis on each of the different sites at different levels. What there isn't is conceptual. Now it's gone from, originally conceptual and then into design drawings on Stowe Road site. Now 3 other sites are being considered. And I think that's not problematic, other than it will cost, not to do 1 set of conceptual drawings, but 4. And then to narrow, towards the fall, towards getting towards, construction drawings.
So is it possible to punt back to the building committee to just say like 3 sites? Because the whole Lincoln Properties thing was kind of tossed out from the beginning, and so I don't know why we're spending more money on that.
Before we spend any money on Lincoln Property site, I'm gonna approach the owner there and see, are they available for a conversation that wouldn't cost anything? And if the answer is no, the site's not available, and no, we're not interested in talking, then that answers that. But yes, if they are, and it's a possible site, then it may be worth spending some money to find out, now, is it a viable site?
Yeah, and I will say, Wes, to answer your question, the building committee actually spent a lot of time on it and felt very strongly that we should be approaching Lincoln Properties again, and that it hadn't been fully vetted. It kind of got left by the wayside with other issues that we were having with Lincoln Properties.
So the reason why was because they were looking for abatements and other tax things back when we initially went with them. But I live on Stowe Road, and I will be right across from the new one. I'm not happy about it, but it's probably one of the better sites for it. And it's unfortunate, and my water already has PFAS in it, so I mean, what else can happen? But that's just my perspective.
Oh, yeah, Dave says he's raising your excise tax, so that's what else can happen.
That's
Just
fine.
kidding,
I mean,
bringing
like,
some
I'll be
levity.
here longer than most people on this meeting, so it's fine.
True. All right, so getting back to it, and
May I?
yes, please, jump
Okay.
in.
I just want to say that I'm opposed to an amendment. I think what we went through, the $500,000 number is what we talked about. This money would take us from this point on right through the project. We need an OPM. So I think we should get away from this. I think if we have a problem selling people on this, what was the number? It was, $178. We need a fire station. And if people don't agree, we need a fire station for $178, then we haven't made the case about, we, the select board, you, the building committee, and the fire department hasn't made the point that we gotta get it done. So this is simple. These are all the things we decided, this is what needs to happen over the next 2 years. Pick the money up now. Pay it now. Don't be going back. We don't need to nickel and dime. Oh, I saw this happen. I reviewed the building committee, meetings, and the only thing I saw was Hugh saying, I don't think this is gonna pass a town meeting. And then all of a sudden, I saw the next thing I saw, there was an amendment to an amendment, and I was like, where did that come from? I mean, we all talked about this. The FinCom unanimously agreed, this is the right thing to do. And now it's all getting stirred up again, just like it's been for the last 10 years. And it's like, come on, let's tell the people, we need a fire station. If we need to show it to you again, we show it to you again. This is what it's gonna cost from our end. We'll be able to come to you once we do all this other stuff. We have a preferred site. The preferred site based on the building committee was Stowe Road. I'm not a big fan of Stowe Road, but show me something better. So we have some studies, we have this, we get 500,000, the consultants come in and they say, okay, yeah, no, you were right, this is the best place for it because this has this problem, this has that problem, and this one, they don't want to talk to us. So I just think we're going off in the wrong direction and trying to say, well, we don't need to spend that much money. It's like, yes, we do. Let's put the money aside. Let's get, so as a consultant, you know, looked a lot of years of consulting, and it's like, you know, so I have a choice. Do I want to work for somebody who says, okay, I'll hire you for a month, and maybe we'll get an extension after that. I'm sure that they'll approve that. Or do I go with the company that says, yeah, we want to hire you, and we got this much money set aside, and I know there's longevity in the project, and I'm not going to be looking for another job in another month. It just makes good business sense what we decided on, and to say it's not gonna pass in town meeting, it's like, shame on you people. You ought to be going out and talking about how much this needs to be changed. That's the point. It's not counting the pennies and trying to argue about stuff. It's like, we need a fire station. So I'll listen to the conversation, everything you have to say about it, but I'm not voting in favor, I'll tell you right now, of an amendment because I think it's crazy. Thank you.
No, so to your point, again, you know, there's a lot of good things that are coming up. One is the clarity of the article itself, and two, it's just taking it step by step. When we started this, we didn't know about the school. Okay, we didn't know what bills were coming our way. We're trying to soften the blow and spread it out. And that was why we brought it down to a number that we could use free cash. We could, what? Okay, we brought it down to that $250,000 because we can stay within our free cash 5%. We don't have to raise and appropriate. It doesn't hit people's taxes right away, and it'll give us the information to be able to move forward. That's the reason for the $250, because it meets all the FinCom policies and guidelines, and it helps us get the information. Now, I do believe there's some validity in the public input that said, let's just pay for the site. And I said this to the guys today. There's validity to saying, let's only allocate $100,000 and pick our site first and then go to the next step. What that does, though, is it definitely pushes us off probably a year before we put a shovel in the ground. And that was what is expressed to me by the fire chief, and the lieutenant, right, Lieutenant?
Both captains.
Captains, I'm sorry. Well, acting fire chief and captain. I'm so bad at that. At any rate, what was impressed upon me was that every year we wait, it becomes more expensive and more difficult. So again, the $250,000 had a rationale. It gets us more information. It moves us further and gets the shovel in the ground sooner. That really is what it comes down to. That's why we're here, Dave. Because
Okay, but
everybody's
I
right.
still think it's
nobody's
I
wrong.
still think it's the wrong approach.
And that's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
That's fine. But nobody's
I
rationale
just want to
is
say
wrong.
that now. I'm fine. because-
Priya, what do you think? We'll just go right down the table, and then we'll go to public comments.
No, I think, like, initially I myself was like a little taken aback about like, oh, why we voted on something and we wanted the 500,000. But I do think that, like, by the time we get to spending money and we get to the fall town meeting where we can appropriate, I don't think we would have gone through hopefully the 250 would be sufficient to go through whatever the steps that we need to get to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's somewhere meeting in the middle. That's how I saw it, and I think it's appropriate. We'll still continue with whatever we need to do after we kind of get the decisions between the clarity between all the 4 sites, if it's 4 or 3, whatever the sites are, have like clear-cut clarity, and then move on to the next steps. And by the time we move on to the next steps, we will be already in the fall town meeting, and we could like appropriate more funding at that point. I think that's reasonable, and it kind of eases people's mind, and I think it's a better chance given all the financial things that we have going on. I mean, I personally would have liked to have approved the full 500, but I think we'll have to look into everybody's comfort level, and if people are more comfortable in terms of meeting somewhere in the middle, there's no harm though, Dave.
Well, but this is a down payment. This isn't going to all be spent. This is going over 2+ years. This $500,000. So this is so So it's not just about making these decisions. This is the whole project. And if you're gonna have, I don't think it's 40, by the way, but it's more than 20, I would say, $1 million.
More than 25, less
So
than
you got a
40.
pretty big project, and you need good quality managers to handle that. And if you're just kind of doing that, it's like, you know, you're shooting yourself in the foot, I think, from a business standpoint. And I you know, I mean, I understand we want to be sensitive to the people, but again, I bring it back to make the case that the fire station floods, that there are cracks in the wall, you know?
No.
People should say, yeah, $178, no problem, you know, I'll do it. You know, that's where the emphasis needs to be.
No, we totally agree with that. Like, I mean, we realize that we should have done that, but I think like we need to do a better job of like, it's good, like we can talk about all those different things, but we really need to synthesize. I think we need time to synthesize and come up with like concrete things to kind of articulate to the town though, Dave. Like, given that we only have such a short period of time between now and the actual town meeting, like a couple of weeks, I think we need to do a better job at like getting those things synthesized, and this will give us a good start.
Okay, it's a different approach, but I think then you gotta go back and you gotta ask for more money at that point, and then it's, you know, then who knows what's gonna happen, or who's gonna come in with some other idea about it. I think you keep it simple. Go ahead, Wes.
So to a point, I do see that Francie and Hugh have their hands raised, but I do want to make a quick point. I do agree with Priya. The only way that I could support having the 500,000, even 250,000, is if we just kind of stop this decision indecision. It really seems like we're trying to cater to a lot of, well, what if we go back to this site? What if we go back to this site? Like, we can throw away $200,000 and that's fine. And it seems like we're even spending more time, like nitpicking even the sustainability committee policy than we are doing this fire safety building. And so while we want to say that we're trying to capitalize on some progress, like, let's be real, like, what is progress? Is it just the decision to spend more money? Because I'm not necessarily okay with that. And so I'm not opposed to that, but I'm also, like, I think that we need to have some decisions, and I don't really want this to be my precedent, but I kind of agree with Mark that I'd like to see some things of saying, like, these are if we're going to go with 4 sites, this is what it's going to cost for each of these, and then saying, and if incorporating taking the next steps, so that way we don't have to stop progress, this is what we see the next step being, because I really am against going for a large amount of money at fall town meeting, because just last year when we were at the annual town meeting, we said we were not looking to include major budget items in the fall because we knew that there was a lower voter turnout. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And so that's probably as polite as I could put it.
No,
Like,
and I understand all of your points. I do. I think fall town meeting is going to be about the fire station, and anyone who cares about the fire station is going to come out and do it. I just think it's too much to do within an annual, and I think it's appropriate to have a special town meeting for only the fire station. So, no, we're not going to do nickel and dimey, or large purchases for something that's gratuitous, but I think a town meeting focused only on the fire station makes really good sense, because we get to focus on it. So I will disagree with you on that piece, that I think it is appropriate to pull it out.
So I guess what I was just saying is that we sold this, and there was actually a lot of pushback from people saying that, they're just going to start creeping financial items into it. And so if you want to have a separate item, it's more about the principle and continuity for me, but that's less of a hill that I care to die on. But mostly, I'm looking for a decision to be made. Like, let's have like a plan and say, like, okay, if we're asking for $250,000, it's $125 if we're going with 4 sites. And by the way, we've checked with everybody; they're totes down with us using their site, and this is what each site's going to cost. And then we also want to be able to keep moving forward and then go to town meeting. This is our expected costs. And so, we're planning to bring this forward at fall town meeting. And so that's where I was mostly coming from. And I don't want to call it a farce, and I don't want to call it a stalling thing, because I will push back, because there are other things that get nitpicked more than this. And you see this every year in the budget cycle where you're like, oh, well, do you really need that printer paper? And then we just go and drop like $200,000 on something else, and that's fine and dandy. Different people care about different things, but I'll yield the rest of my time to Francie and Hugh because they have not had a chance to speak yet.
Okay, we kind of went down the shiny squirrel path, and that's totally fine about talking about when to discuss it. I think that one of the things that you just brought up, Les, that I want to pull out is that, let's say 125 is for understanding the sites, however many that might be, and that leaves us 125 to 375, and that is for hiring the next group of consultants to get us to our next stages, to get our numbers moving forward once they bring the information for the sites back to the building committee. Now, in fairness to anyone who doesn't know, the building committee voted 9-3 for Stowe Road, and that, but there was just so much more discussion that I felt it was important to air all of that discussion. So, again, that's why we're here right now. Okay. Let's go to public participation. Francie, your hand was up first.
I think Hugh was up first.
Oh, Priya thinks Hugh is up first. Do you care?
Sorry, Francie.
Doesn't matter. Go ahead, Hugh.
This is a wonderful conversation. It really gets to the roots of the challenge the town faces. And Dave, I agree with you in many, many ways. The concern, and Les will back me on this, I am on the building committee, and I will speak not for the building committee, I'm speaking for myself. Excuse me. But my observation is, and Les would agree, the building committee has not been able to reach the public very well. The pandemic hit us, and we have not done a reach out. We have had no public meetings beyond our own meetings, which are not terribly well attended by the citizens. We have had no meetings with the residents around the Stowe Road property, the condo owners, the apartment dwellers. And my concern has been that while indeed we own the site of the fire station, the Stowe Road site requires a 2/3 vote of voters in a town meeting. So it's not as if we can simply assume that we're going to get that 2/3 vote unless we have convinced the residents and the rest of the town that that really is the right place. And it may very well be. I don't think we have to work hard at all to convince town people that we need a fire station. And the building committee recognized that very clearly a month or two ago when they dropped the idea of trying to build a safety building that combines new facilities for both police and fire. We realized that the fire station is the biggest problem the town faces in terms of building, that we can survive with the present police station. We like the position of it across from the school. It is possible that it can be brought up to code. And if the new fire station goes in the present location, we have to be very careful to make sure that the police station can be done as a second project, can be expanded and brought up to code. But I don't think we have to, do not think we need to convince the town that we need a fire station. We do need to convince the town that we need a fire station that is 3 times the size of the present very inadequate fire station. We have not reached out to the townspeople to make that clear. We have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or we have to remember that we're dealing with voters here, and they're not very well informed right now. So please be very, very careful to make an assumption that we can come up with a vote for $500,000 when the town is not quite clear what we're going to spend that money on and what they're going to learn. We have to be able to convince them that whatever we're asking them for right now is going to give them what answers in the fall, is going to give them a clear picture of what each of the sites, and it may come down to just the 2 or maybe 3, if Lincoln drops out, or if the Lions partners decide they no longer want to sell their land to the town. We need to be ready to go to the fall with a very clear picture of what the sites that are available allow us to do. And we cannot assume necessarily that the town is ready to vote 2/3 in favor of Stowe. We have to do a lot of work to convince them of that. And I don't think we have much time we have no time between now and May. And yeah, it'd be great to get this done and get the shovels in the ground in 2025, but we're behind. So go carefully here. And that's why I tend to agree with Wes and Mark that we should show very clearly what we're spending this summer and what we will be able to present with the money that we're asking for in a couple of weeks. So I'd be very careful. Remember, I do feel that if we had gone with this $500,000, I'm very, very concerned that we would end up with no loaf at all instead of at least half a loaf. Now I'm a little bit concerned about the 250. I think we could do it, but I would like to ask, I would ask the select board to ask Mike to look carefully at what it is we are asking Context to do and how much they would charge us.
Sure. So your biggest thing is, you started with, was being concerned about public outreach, so that people understand exactly what's going on.
I am concerned that we're gonna get, but I know Dave brings that up.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to be cautious here.
Sure.
Because we've not prepared the town voters for these votes. We have not talked to the residents at all. Nothing.
So a couple of thoughts run through my head. One is that the town has been appropriating money and actually has voted down, was it 2016? Voted down some articles, so we have been talking about this for a long time, the people that participate. You're right, is that everybody? No, but the people that are participating know we've been working on this for a while. I do think that before we do public outreach about any particular site, we need to make sure it's viable. So to me, it's very much chicken and the egg, and that's why I was saying I do appreciate the position of John and Mark and some other people that have brought it forward that said, let's just appropriate enough to figure out the site. I understand that position. I'm worried about moving forward. So first we've got to figure out what sites are available and viable. Then we have to figure out what fits. Then we also need to get input from our consultants and from the fire department about what we need, for the vehicles that we have. And we've gotten all of that in bits and pieces. That's what the $250,000 is for. So by the time we get to the fall, we have all the bits and pieces together. We have early fall to do public outreach to say, these are the sites that we think we're going to be presenting to the town. Do you have, what are your concerns? Let's vet them, and we get them there. That's what the $250,000 is for.
But, okay, but I.
Or 500. I shouldn't predispose. The money is for it.
Thank you for the comments, Hugh. I appreciate what you're saying, but I think no matter what we build or where we build, the 500,000 is what it's going to cost
to get it going, not to build it, but to get it going.
Right, and to have somebody manage it for us. So it's like, why, if we get everybody to agree, yes, we need a fire station, then put up the money. And then in the meantime, we'll figure out the where and the what, what's the size? I mean, do we need this size? Do we need to have geothermal? Do we, all those details are later. But let's get people to agree. We need a fire station, and no matter where we build or what we build, this is what it's going to cost us. This is our down payment. We need to put in the down payment. And so, I'm sensitive to the fact that it's a bad time, but the place is in bad shape. And it's like just because of the school, we can't push it off further. So
I'm just trying to spread it out.
I'm not saying
all I'm
to
doing
push
is
it off
spreading it
either.
out. I'm not pushing it off. I'm sorry, Wes, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I'm not looking to push it off either. I think maybe, if I may, Dave, I'm wondering if where the disconnect is that I think what I'm hearing from other people is that they're looking for more of a plan than just, we need a fire department or a fire station and we want to put 500,000 because that's the next step. And so I think that there's some concern from people that if we just give 500,000, then what's the next 500,000? Because as you had said yourself, this is the first time we have progress. And so I think that there may be some resistance from the community that if this is the first time there's progress, like why is 500,000 really going to be a good number to get progress, to keep it going? And so I think maybe the discussion for tonight could even come to an end shortly soon if we can get some of these concerns addressed, and rather than going in circles, have something more concrete, because we have up until town meeting to make our joint amendment. And so the FinCom has been present at our meetings, or members of the FinCom, and we can also send them through the town administrator a message from us in terms of what we decide. But I don't know if making the decision today is really in our best interest.
I don't know that kicking it down a couple of weeks changes anything, Wes. What's going to change?
If we can actually get the confirmation from
Context? Lincoln Properties?
No, the Lincoln Properties, that they actually are open to talking about it. And then from there, because we can then show, kind of like you guys asked the school committee in good faith to cut all-day tuition and a few other things from the school committee budget, are we not allowed to cut things in good faith and also allow for future work? Like I'm really not seeing the consistency here in how we're applying what we are asking for, and that's my main concern.
Okay. Francie, did you want to speak?
I do. Thank you. You can consider me kind of a run-of-the-mill voter, I guess. I couldn't go to town meeting and vote for $500,000, not knowing where it's going. Even 250, I've thought about that a lot too. At first I thought at least that's half, but it just seemed that the building committee just took 500,000, cut it in half. As a taxpayer, I am very concerned about our financial status right now with the school budget, and you can say it's $171 only, but if every item is passed at town meeting, our taxes are going up 9%. It's a lot more than $178. So there's a logical set of steps here that haven't happened. And so what I would really appreciate is being able to see 3 or 4 sites using the existing reports that give you all the information you need and showing how you could place a fire station, which we all know we need desperately, on those sites, but also considering the size, because the price is connected to size. And also the concept of where it should be placed. I believe we've got to find a Route 111 site. There's so many reasons for that. It should be visible, easy to get out onto 111 and move in whatever direction. So I think John Markowitz's letter has a lot of very good suggestions of what we find we could do between this town meeting and the next town meeting. Look at the money that the building committee has. We were told a couple meetings ago they have $51,000. Maybe that's all we need for now. So let's look at those sites. Let's compare them accurately, 1-to-1, apples to apples. I know the building committee loves the site on Stowe Road, and I can understand why, but they haven't shown us why we can't get it on Route 111. Those other 3 sites would be Route 111. So the work hasn't been done, and I'm not willing to trust anybody to say, sure, have $500,000 and do with it as you want. It's not fair. It's not right. We've got to take the steps. Start at step one for the town. Wherever you are in your own mind, where you can see the fire station, at 24,000 square feet on Stowe Road, help the rest of us to understand. Let's see what it all looks like, one to one, and then we can vote.
Okay.
We're not ready to vote.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Les?
Yeah, just go over some history again. One of the things that is not dropped off the plate and going from the 500 to the 250K budget is that we eliminated an OPM, bring on an OPM to help guide the committee and the architect through a really value engineering as we whittled down to one winner site out of the conceptual designs. Remember, in my view, what should happen, and I hope is going to happen, is that we will whittle down several possibility of sites using conceptual designs, test fits and so forth, and then hone in on one, do a really careful fit on that site for the conceptual design. You may have seen sketches in the past of a fire station placed on Stowe Road. That was not a 24,000 square foot fire station. That was a 30,000 square foot public safety building to look at a worst case. So we haven't actually looked at a 24,000 square foot fire station on Stowe Road. Stowe Road has been examined for soil types and a number of other issues that are in very good shape for that site. So we're as close as any site on that, maybe more so, to actually break ground and do something if we ever get to that point. The building committee at the end of the last year voted 9-3 to forward to the select board a recommendation to focus a further efforts on Stowe Road. It was not unanimous. It was 9-3 vote. And so since then, people have said, well, why don't we look at this? Why don't we look at that? And that has led to the addition of the current site, revisiting that, 700 Mass Avenue, and the Lincoln property site. So the aperture expanded as a result of making a decision back at the end of last year to focus on Stowe Road. So the thing keeps getting away from us. We keep wanting to revisit things. It's very frustrating. So at least I think what would happen is that we would settle on one site, do a very good set of conceptual designs on that, and at a future town meeting, possibly a fall town meeting, it would not necessarily be acquisition of land. It might be money to do a schematic design. Schematic designs is when you really nail down all the details and can get bids on probable construction costs. At the conceptual level, there'll be more uncertainty about what the cost will be, but it can be done. Mike might want to speak to this, but that's one of the things that came off the plate, so to speak, when they reduced the price from 500 to 250. I just want to remind people of that.
Okay, thank you. All right, one of the things that you brought up, and someone else did too, is a 2/3 vote to acquire Stowe Road. Can you go through the process for where we've been with Stowe Road and what would happen? Because again, in our mind is the land acquisition will be part of the whole fire station construction. It would be wrapped into one bond, one thing. Yes, it'll be 2/3, but it's gonna be the whole nut. It's not gonna be a bitty piece of it. But, so can you just refresh everyone on how the Stowe Road transfer property could happen?
Sure, and just to back up, as was mentioned a couple of times, at the end of the last year, the building committee voted a majority in favor of going with Stowe Road. At that point, we put some additional money, which has been also mentioned a couple of times, the 51,000, which is being currently used to further study the Stowe Road site. So it's not like that money is all just sitting there. I started moving because I thought we had a site picked, and that's what we were aiming towards. And the idea being that we would have the cost of the project and conceptual drawings for this town meeting this May. and then moving towards schematics, that would be the $500,000 for the fall town meeting, to then, from that point, vote and move towards construction drawings, which is, how do you actually put the building together, what materials, how's it built, that sort of thing. Since then, as was also mentioned, we have expanded. Now we've gone from looking at and having a majority, focusing on one site. Now we've expanded 3 more sites. So we're doing that in the name of due diligence. But we have, in the name of doing the right thing, we've taken some steps backwards, to where we're, people, I constantly get asked, why don't we first say what the town can afford, or what's the price? But then I also get asked by others, well, what are the needs? Well, pick one, say, here's what the town can afford, and certainly a designer can give us a price or give us a design based on here's what you're willing to spend. Or you come from the needs end and look at what do you need, and then work towards what does that need cost. You can start from either end, but you can't start from the middle. So, here we are, we've started, focusing in, and now we're expanding out. And we could continue to do that, but at some point, we gotta move towards building a building. I'm concerned about the people that work in that building, that live and sleep in that building, that respond to our public safety, our public health emergencies. That's their living quarters, that's their office space, that's where we store valuable equipment, we need to think about moving toward, you all know that. In regards to, the purchase of the land, yes, it would take a 2/3 vote. It could happen in the fall, but I think in a project like this, often the land purchase is bonded as part of the whole project. And
Which saves us money by doing it that way.
it would save you money on the bonding process. It would also, I think that's a smart way to do it, is put it all together rather than piecemealing it out.
Okay. I think there's one more person who wants to talk. I think to answer, and I don't remember who asked the question, why are we revisiting? It's because after that vote, Mike, I'm sure other people got so many messages, this will never pass on town meeting floor, and I'm gonna make sure everybody I know goes and votes this down. And that was just pushing us to more, it just tears the town apart. So I felt pretty strongly by doing this now with the people who are truly concerned about it, that are gonna put the time in to understand it, so that we can go to town meeting educated, we're not tearing the town apart. And it's not my friends against your friends, because that's really what it often comes down to. And we all know, everybody on these meetings, this meeting right now, has been to many, many town meetings. And we can see how that can happen, that bad decisions get made emotionally instead of based on fact. So please know, I am the first to understand the frustration of revisiting all of this, but I think this is time very well spent, instead of doing it on town meeting floor and shooting us all in the foot again. So that's why we're doing this. So just to kind of get it out there. And it's not because I'm afraid of the people that are gonna try to vote it down. And it's not because, I want to personally wage a war on anyone. No, it's because I want to get the information out there. So that's why we're doing this. Because somebody has said to me, you're just being bullied into this. You're just being bullied into revisiting. No, I'm doing my job to make sure that everybody's heard, everybody's understood, everybody has an opportunity, and then we don't go to town meeting and blow each other up, because that's not what Boxborough is about. So that's why we're here. So everyone take a deep breath, pull your patience pants up to your ears if you have to, and let's figure it all out, so that when we go to town meeting, we don't have to agree. Please no, going to town meeting doesn't mean you agree, but it means that the information is out there. And I find this invaluable, and I said this to the building committee. All of the questions being brought forth tells us what we have to do in town meeting. So these discussions are invaluable in terms of that, and in terms of moving the town forward. Okay, Maria, did you want to speak? You're at the microphone.
I did.
I'm going to get off my
So,
soapbox now.
Just to be clear, I'm speaking as a resident and a taxpayer and a voter and somebody who has been on and off the building committee for 10 years, like I was on the original one. 10 years. And every time we get close somebody says, well, what's this building gonna cost? We can't vote for this because we don't know what it's gonna cost. Or we finally get the building committee that picks a piece of property and 9-3 votes that we're gonna go forward with Stowe Road, and we're gonna go to town meeting, and we're gonna get the funds that we need to get a real estimate done, so we know what it costs, and we'll have that in the fall. And I'm sorry, but you can't get it until we have some drawings and we know where the property's gonna go. Is it gonna be a net zero building? Is it not gonna be net zero? I would hope that it would be net zero. The building committees I've been on have looked at the existing fire station. We looked at Mass Ave. We had 3 fire chiefs say, we cannot pull out of 700 Mass Ave. We had many of the people who are now saying, you have to look at that property, were the same people who said to the planning board, you can't approve the enclave exit off the Mass Ave because people are gonna get in accidents pulling out of there because there's no sight line. But now it's okay that we're gonna pull trucks out of there. Same place. With respect to Lincoln Properties, been there, we've done that. Again, many of the people who are now saying, look at Lincoln Properties, are the ones who wanted nothing to do with that whole thing. I'm frustrated. I agree with Dave. We need to move forward. I understand why you're doing the 250, but you went to 250 to try to appease people who are now saying, well, this shouldn't cost you more than $20,000 a piece of property times 4, so $80,000, so you decrease it more, or $25,000, decrease it more. You're the select board. The building committee makes recommendations to you, and you need to go forward with it. You're going to get people on town floor, probably a vocal 10 people, who are going to say, decrease this, we need to do studies. Studies should only cost $20,000 because I sat and did my homework, I Googled it. Mike talked to a professional. FinCom was not all on board initially. Brought the information back after Mike and Jason and Sean talked to professionals and got an estimate. And it went from 250 to 500, back now to 250. We did that with professionals because none of us, I don't care who you are, I don't care what job you've ever done, are professional builders. We're not contractors, we're not architects, we've never built fire stations. We can Google all we want. We have to move this forward though. We are looking at possibly having to custom build an ambulance for a higher expense because we don't know if we're going to have a building big enough to fit the best practice ambulance, like the newer ambulance, right? The more modern ambulance, which is bigger, because we don't know where we're going to be. I've heard on the building committee meetings, I'm actually kind of taken aback by this. Do we really need to build for the future? Can't we just build basic? We know what our needs are. We've had the study. Then we had the building committee go back out this year and look at the study again, and they came back with pretty close to the same numbers. We know what our needs are for the fire station. So what I would say to you is, if you got to do the 250, fine. But it is incumbent on you to do forums and go out to the public so that this group of vocal people who say nobody knows what's going on and it's going to cost $40 million, you lead that and you go out to the public and you have forums so that people understand when we go back to fall town meeting, it is clear. And the rumors are not, this isn't going to cost $40 million. At 24,000 square feet, at $900 a square foot, that's a rough estimate based on some of the numbers I've heard, $22 million. There's no $40 million in this building. So it is just, I'm so frustrated after 10 years of this that instead of moving forward, which was a great place, and that's where I thought we were in February, we're doing the same thing. We're swirling around again and going backwards. Please be the leaders and bring this forward and go forward with what was suggested to you. If not $500,000, at least 250, and make sure that you get out in front of the public and you educate them before the fall town meeting. And with respect to budget items at the fall town meeting, yes, we said we were going to do budget items, but that was like, we're not going to add $5,000 to this budget and $2,000 to that budget. This is, if we didn't have a fall town meeting plan, we would have called a special town meeting for this. This is what, this is different than nickel and diming people for numbers in the fall. So thank you for listening, and I know I ranted a little bit, but I'm beyond frustrated with this.
Yes, it's okay. It's all right. Okay, lots more hands came up. Mark Barbadero.
Yeah, thanks. After listening to Maria, she's convinced me. If only 10 people are going to go to town meeting and vote against Article 42 and have already decided that Stowe Road is the best location for the fire station, I'd say go for the full $500,000. I don't see any downside to it because the article is obviously going to pass with over 90% support. So if you believe that, then my recommendation is that you guys absolutely go for the $500,000. Thank you.
Okay. Becky? I'm just
Hi.
going
Well,
right in
first
line with what I see on the screen.
Yeah. First, I want to agree with both Maria and Dave. I think you should go for the $500,000 too. But my other question is if we're going to go back and look at 4 spots, are we putting some parameters to the consultants, like we want a net zero building? And where can we only build a net zero building? Because we want to make sure we're going to be sustainable for the future. We're not going to be wasting precious resources that nobody in the world can afford to waste. So I just wonder what kind of parameters we're going to give to context to do this, or anything this money's going to be used for.
I'm going to turn it over to the experts, to Sean and Mike for this.
I thought we had stuff in here as far as energy use and net zero.
It all came out. We pulled it out.
Okay.
When we reduced it from 500, we had to reduce the scope of
Okay,
work, too.
that got reduced, sorry.
Yeah. Well, actually, the original article is in there. Actually, scroll down, Rajan. It is in here, right, everything that was in there, that's what you're looking for, and that's where everything that Maria was just talking about actually is
Here we
in
go,
there.
in the draft language of Article 42, what the building committee talked about last week, there you go. Second bullet down says, sustainability, resilience, and flexibility will be considered in all design options. So that kind of touches on the net zero, the sustainability.
And that's in the new proposed language?
That's in the new
Yeah,
proposed
that's in the
language.
amendment.
Not as strong a language as what was in the original 500,000, but that's in bullet 2 of this one.
So the building committee worked really hard to pull it down to what we needed to be able to determine which sites. That's why this is more about picking the site, is what do we need to know? Like you said, what supports geothermal? Where do we have enough space to build that resilient, long-lasting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the new bullets are drilling it all down to all of those pieces.
And Kristen, I just want to make one point clear. I think people have to realize, even in terms of you deciding how much can we spend, right? That's not where we should start from. We should start from what is it that brings our fire station to code? What is it that brings our fire station to ADA standards? We need to be able to get to that, and from that, what is the bare minimum it'll cost us from there? So is it 20,000 square feet or 24? And after that, people can decide, I want 20 or 24,000. We can't say, oh, I can only spend 18 million or 10 million and go with the 10,000 square feet. That's not going to be feasible for a town like Boxborough. And we have had discussions about this, but I think we need to understand that if we have to bring a new building, it has to adhere to code. And that should be our starting point.
Well, not just code, our needs. Really, we have brought up, so Becky, I don't know if this helps, but and heck, you're married to a firefighter. So, you still are married to a former firefighter. Let me get that right. We don't have town water. We have a lot of vehicles. We have to store water. We have a lot of things that we need. So I do agree it needs to be needs-based, and then we can figure out what that price is, and then people say yes or no. So, but Becky, does that help at all answer your questions? Okay, thank you. Diana?
Okay, as you know, I served on the building committee for almost 2 years. I have read all the documents. I would really recommend that this board go and read through the documents, because if they did, they would understand that you simply do not cost out a building by multiplying by a square foot cost. The square footage costs are called hard costs, building construction costs. There are also something called soft costs. And the soft costs, according to HKT, and they did a very elaborate, by the way, estimate, which could be done now for a building of 2018, they did a very elaborate cost breakdown, which showed that soft costs are roughly the same as the hard costs. So I think people to think that this is going to simply be a question of multiplying square footage by 700 to 900 square feet, price per square foot, which is the current amount which we're looking at, is the total cost of the building. This would be excluding land, by the way. So you can pretty much take that cost, whatever it is, and double it. So 40,000 for 24,000, 40 million for a 24,000 square foot building on either side of that is not out of the realm of possibility at all. And please bear in mind that every 1,000 square feet that you cut out of a building, when you are talking about even 800 a square foot, is $1.6 million per 1,000 square feet. So cost is important. Obviously, you balance needs with cost, and that is where you get to size. But typically what you do is you do a wish list, you look at what the cost is, and then you start to cut based upon what you actually need. And I have a lot of information, and I would love to sit here and make presentations to you guys because it's a complicated issue. But I can tell you, having served on this building committee, that they have not done the work. They are not revisiting sites. They never really looked again at the current site beyond the HKT reports that went through 2016 and was voted down in 2017 at town meeting. They have not looked back at that site. They had never really investigated 700 Mass Ave. Once very detailed engineered drawings were brought to them, not for the building, with a conceptual concept of a building that went up, as I recall, could be up to 21 or 22,000 square feet. But you're talking about things that simply are not true, and they're being miscategorized. And the main reason they are is because no one has actually looked at the hard facts. That's the reality. Thank you.
Les, do you want to speak to that?
Well, we
Well,
are
not that no one's done their homework, but more about looking at the various sites and you know, you're kind of a resident expert on this. That is part of what this money is for, is to make sure that we've fully vetted all of those sites. Do you want to speak to that at all, or do you feel like we're beating a dead horse at this point?
Well, the horse is suffering right now, I think. That,
Says the man who owns a horse farm.
Regarding the 700 Mass Avenue site, yes, we have some drawings from the owner's architect. The committee has raised concerns that have nothing to do with the use of the site other than access to Mass Avenue and sightline safety. And there are significant concerns about that. And we actually have decided at our last meeting that one of the things that we would like context to do, or actually we left it open to somewhere between Mike and the town planner to find a traffic engineer to advise us on what is the sightline issue on 700 Mass Avenue, so we can use that in a decision-making process to whittle this set of 4 down to something like 1 or 2.
And
So yes, that's still open and still being studied. I don't know if Mike has any update on that, but that's my understanding of what the plan is.
Alec and I are working on that as we speak, as far
Yes, thank you, Mike.
as far as a professional to look at sightlines for that.
Right. It's true that we didn't really ever go back and look at the current site beyond the initial study of HKT, which put, and in the attempt to accommodate both police and fire, put one large public safety building on that site, and they raised a number of issues around site setbacks, wetlands, floodplains, and so forth. And at the next town meeting, the money was asked to actually address those issues, and that article got shot down. So we never progressed into doing actual site work on the current site. We have a fire station there, yes, but have we actually done test borings and other tests to see whether the soils will support a building and all the other issues that would be done by a geotech investigation? No, we have not done that. Nonetheless, there's a strong belief that we should do at least a test fit to see if a building of somewhere in the range of 24,000 square feet with all the turning radius and approaches for vehicles will actually fit on there with a reasonable accommodation for equipment and so forth. So that is something that's in the current plan, that context we'll be working on with Mike. And as far as Lincoln Properties is concerned, that's really in the hands of Mike to approach them to see if they want to talk to us.
Right, okay. All right, so is there anybody else who would like to speak? Okay, so the actual action item is whether the select board would like to revise Article 42. And there's really two things we have to decide. Would we like to revise the number? And I would like to just go ahead and vote it. Whether we'd like to revise the number to $250,000 or $125,000 or $80,000. You know, what does this board want to do? And then once we know that, what that is, then we have to work on, you know, exactly being sure that the language supports whatever dollar amount we select. So what I'd like to do right now is make a motion to reduce the amount of, to reduce the dollar amount from $500,000 to $250,000.
Second that.
So we'll just do that one. All right, so I moved the $250,000. Priya has seconded it. Any further discussion of the board?
The reason I feel like we should probably go with that is like that's what the building committee recommended at this point. Yes, we kind of took a step backwards, I understand all that, but at least we should start there. I don't want it to be cut any further. So, it's this.
Okay. Dave or Wes, do you have any comment?
As I mentioned before, I'm gonna vote against the
Okay.
change.
All right, Wes, do you have anything?
I'm probably either going to abstain or vote against it because people seem pretty confident this is going to pass, so.
It's not about whether it's gonna pass or not, it's whether it's the right amount of money to ask for. This is not
I mean,
about
it's-
what's gonna pass, it's what is the right
It's
amount.
not my hill to die on, but there are some people that are more convicted than I am.
All righty. Well, then let's take a vote. Roll call, so the motion on the table is to reduce the amount from $500,000 to $250,000 in Article 42. Roll call vote. Wes?
Nay.
Priya?
Sundaram, aye.
Dave?
McKinnon, nay.
Hilberg, aye. All right, well, that's a split vote, so I guess we're keeping it at $500,000, because that's been our process, this is a four-member board. If it's a split vote, we don't make a change. All right,
So can I just, from a FinCom perspective?
Yep.
We're not gonna do any change tomorrow night, it's on my agenda, but we'll just skip over it, because you're keeping the same language at $500,000 with the same funding, or do you wanna look at the funding sources?
no, you've already, I don't personally see a reason to revisit the funding. That,
Okay.
you know,
That's been
that
my
was your recommendation before, I mean, unless the FinCom believes there's a better way to appropriate the funds, that's up to you guys.
We could talk about that under that, for, you know, if maybe move more into free cash.
Okay,
Because funding has changed on other things.
Right.
Since Budget Saturday, when we and then after Budget Saturday, when we broke that down.
okay,
So funding has changed for other things, so maybe we could look at the funding and maybe go a little more free cash and a little less raise and appropriate, but we can discuss that tomorrow night, because I have this article on my agenda.
okay.
If you want us to do that.
Yeah, no, I would, absolutely, anything we can do to help spread this out, make it a little easier for people, 100%. All right, the second piece of it is the building committee did forward a new summary of what the funds would be used for. Where we're leaving it at $500,000, you know, let's just vote it, so it's very clear. I move to amend the language and the summary of Article 42 to the language the building committee forwarded from their meeting last week.
Kristen is
What?
The only problem is that disjoints it from the funding.
funding.
Yeah.
Because
All right.
it really, it's really, you know, less the.
You also have
Well-
Les's hand raised, just so you guys know.
Thanks. All right, no, but see, I thought we could change, because it's an amendment. The amendment is in pieces. So,
Yeah,
But the amendment would be at town meeting.
Yeah, Kristen, I wouldn't,
all right, so we're just gonna leave
Yeah,
Article
'cause if you
42
wanna
as
use the money, you
is.
wanna go.
yeah,
you know,
All right.
so you want to withdraw
the
it?
detailed scope.
Yeah, I'll withdraw my
No,
motion.
but Les has his hand raised, and so I'd like to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, I just,
If
could
that's
you
okay.
clarify, because with all the changes, if you leave it at 500, are you leaving it partly raise and appropriate and partly free cash, or what's the current plan?
The
Or what was
FinCom's
it?
gonna discuss it tomorrow. Maria was just saying that there might be some flexibility because we have more information now. We might be able to shift more of it to free cash, less of it to raise and appropriate. So FinCom will be looking at that. So
Okay,
they might,
and-
they might amend the funding sources on town meeting floor, but as of right now, it'll be $500,000.
Okay, fine. And then the language that you showed, I believe that's pretty much the language that we voted on at the building committee, which I thought was very much improved over the original version. Very crisp and very clear.
I agree, but this board feels that this board believes that the language is tied to the dollar amount or at least the comments so far. I agree that we should change it to the new language and we should make that amendment. We can discuss that at the building committee next week. But I agree, the language we wrote is much clearer.
Just a point of order, are you looking to change the language of the motion or of the?
The summary, Wes, the summary.
Yeah, you can't really do that. You can pass out summaries and you can do that. You don't need us to do that. The building committee can do that themselves. But if we're changing the motion, that's what we need to vote on or make the movement on. But the summary and any text around it can be floated by anybody, if I'm understanding correctly. So.
Oh, actually, it was different language. The $500,000 is a different motion. I'm comparing and contrasting right now. For the purpose of procuring professional design. Yeah, well, because the original article has the owner's project manager services.
Right, it's a larger scope of.
Yeah, a larger scope of work. Well, if we're asking for more money, we should have a larger scope of work.
Right.
We can, the building committee can still work on, Les and Priya and everyone else on the committee. We can work on making the summary a little easier to understand.
Do a presentation.
Yeah, because we had talked about breaking it out into chronological, breaking it out into subsets.
Right,
Because right now, it's a really big, hard to understand list.
Right.
Can I ask a question?
Of
Just mechanically. If we change the funding source tomorrow night, let's say that we break it 250 and 250, can that be part of the motion? Do we have to make an amendment we don't need to make an amendment. You can make that part of the motion,
That
right?
can just be the motion.
To be funded, 250
It's the
raised and
same
appropriate. Okay.
funding source, yes.
I just want to
would
make
agree.
sure
I would say
because
it's the same funding source.
Yeah. So
Okay.
okay. And we'll let you know what we
Or
decide.
amount.
That's okay.
Alrighty, so Article 42 is going to stay as was, as is. All right, good discussion. I appreciate everyone taking the time. I know the meeting has gone really long. We have one last thing to do, and that's authorizing the annual town election warrant posting. I move to authorize the posting of the annual town election warrant.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Wes?
Votes aye.
Priya?
Sundaram, aye.
Dave?
McKinnon and I.
And Hilberg, aye. Good meeting. I hope everyone took lots of
Motion
good
to
notes.
adjourn.
Second.
I don't like being, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Whatever. Okay, all those in favor of adjourning, roll call vote. Wes?
Votes aye.
Priya?
Sundaram, aye.
Dave?
McKinnon and I.
Hilberg, aye. Thank you. Good night, everybody.